Hey, podcast listeners. Dana here. Can I let you guys in on a little secret? Just between us. We like all of you much, much more than the folks that listen live. But no matter how, when, or where you check out the Hams podcast, we got to give thanks to our friends at Standard Heating for making it all possible. It's been a pretty tame winter so far, but we know well enough that we're not out of the woods yet. So hit up standardheating.com to get them out to your house to make sure your furnace is tuned up to do all of the furnace-y types of things it's supposed to do. I'm still learning the lingo. Make that appointment today. Become a Smart Club member like me. That's standardheating.com. Enjoy the show.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93.
Really couldn't have happened to a nicer group of people, I think. We've reached the final. Very happy to have you here with us on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. You're a damn fine crowd. And we wish you a wonderful weekend. We made it to the final, and it really couldn't have happened to a nicer group. The cops are on their way later on this morning. A couple of our pals from the Minnesota State Patrol are going to come on in and hang out. I'm talking about, tell me if I get the names correct here, Josh, Gordon Schenk.
Yep.
And Mike Lee.
That's right. You nailed it.
Those are the names they go by. They're hiring. I think they're coming by because they're hiring.
Yeah, they've got, they do this, a couple times a year, different hiring events, and they want to promote it this time again.
There you go. So listen up around 8:30 this morning if you're interested in becoming a cop someday. They'll tell you how to get started. And then they got to get out of here. They got to start pulling over drunks and breaking up knife fights at youth basketball games and things like that. So they don't have time to waste. They're going to come in, they're going to talk about their hiring party, and then they got to go. It's Friday, after all, right? All hell's about ready to bust loose. The cops need to be ready for that.
I completely forgot that Mike Lee last time, he told us how much he likes icy hot. And one of his partners texted in and said, you got to ask him about his obsession with icy hot. And his face changed when that topic came up. And he went on and on and on about how much he likes it, so much so that Gordon Schenk looked at him like, you're a psychopath. Yeah. And I was going to bring him a couple versions of icy hot, and I completely forgot to do it. That was awesome. You were going to... That's just a thank you for coming in.
Grab him a couple of buckets of his favorite thing in the whole world, icy hot. You got a lot going on. Don't beat yourself up, but that would have been fun. Did I tell you that I bought, my wife and I bought my brother icy hot for Christmas?
That's a great gift.
Yeah, he was very excited about it. I wish I could tell you the specifics if it was balm or lube or whatever. They've got different styles of icy hot. But being a aging power lifter, for whatever reason, my brother won't let go of power lifting, and he can barely walk. He can't raise his arms. It's the truth. He can't go up or downstairs. He can't raise his arms above his shoulders because of his addiction to powerlifting. So he just coats himself in that icy hot any chance he can get. He was very excited about it.
You know what else I didn't realize how much I missed? Yesterday, for the first time in years, we bought some of that Vicks Vapo Rub.
Oh, that stuff's good.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about it, but my youngest is very sick, and so I said, I know what you need. You need this Vicks Vapo Rub. I loved that as a kid.
When I was younger, probably like 5th or 6th grade, me and my best friend somehow put it in our heads that we could get slightly high from the stuff. So we would sit there and just sit in our bathroom and smell it for hours. It's so weird.
Just walk out of there with a slight headache.
Yeah. I love that stuff.
Oh, yeah, that stuff was wonderful. Don't know if it ever did me any good, but when I was a little kid and I was very sick, you smear it all over your body, you get a few hours sleep, and you're convinced that you're improved when you come to. Josh, are you going to talk about Gene Hackman in your news report?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll wait on that. That was really interesting.
It got very strange yesterday.
I'm looking forward to talking about it. I'm looking forward to talking about it since you have it prepared for your news report. Let's not spoil it now, but it was very interesting yesterday.
What a difference between yesterday morning and just a few hours later.
Yeah, don't tell me because I've only heard just slight details on the passing of Gene Hackman. And, of course, we all reacted as naturally as we could yesterday to the news of his passing. And we could only work with the information that was available, but there is new information, and I'm looking forward to that. But I got a decent question to start the program off with, and it's cop-related. Again, Mike Lee and Gordon Schenk coming in tomorrow.
Later today.
What did I say?
Tomorrow.
Later on today. I think this will be a fun question to start with, and everyone can play. Our wonderful listeners can text in and share their stories. If you have one, not everyone will have one, and that's okay. 651-989-9393 is the number to text us. What did that one kid from your high school do to get arrested? Do you have a story? 651-989-9393. What did that one kid, maybe there were multiple kids, from your high school do to get arrested? Not expelled, not suspended, arrested.
Well, I only have one. It's a terrible story. I don't even want to go into details.
Same here.
But I'll just say this. So he was arrested in 1992, and he's still there. And I don't know if he's ever getting out. So it was absolutely horrible. There's no like, he stole a car or something like that. It's very, very dramatic. It was absolutely awful.
Yep, same here, Josh.
He was in high school when he did that.
Yeah, he was a year older than me, and he actually was very close friends with my cousin, who I lived with. And I never was comfortable around this guy. He was very, one thing I will say about him, he was very polite to my grandmother. Very polite. He was always...
A lot of psychopaths are very polite.
He was not polite to anybody else, but to my grandma, he really was. He had a lot of respect for your elders. But he was one of those guys where you're always kind of... You can just tell there's something going on, I never would have predicted what he did, but it was...
So this must have been huge. You're in high school... and a fellow student is arrested for something so bad that he never got out.
He's not, as far as I know, he's still in, yeah.
The most I'll say about the guy that I'm thinking about in my high school that got arrested is that after he was arrested, we had to have a moment of silence within the next week for what he did. So it was a pretty bad situation
All
there.
right, so we're 0 for 2 here.
Yeah, nothing like fun or funny.
No, I get it. If it's that bad, it's that bad. But again, I want to ask you guys, that must have been something to be 16, 17 years old and have a fellow student do something that bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it was...
It must have been all you guys talked about for 2-3 months.
Definitely.
I went to a small school. We had small classes, very religious, very strict. And
See, that's where the trouble starts right there.
I've heard that before, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And, they say we got the cops coming in, kids of cops. They bring that up, too,
I have one where...
Well, I'm sorry, one more time?
The kids of cops. Have you heard that phrase before?
Sure, yeah.
Like sometimes...
I've seen it firsthand.
They're a little more wild sometimes.
Yeah. And that was the situation?
Not in this case, but I'm saying, those are the two, right? The ones that are ultra-Catholic sometimes.
Oh, right.
This person says, they didn't send a name. Pretty simple. Pipe bomb in the lunchroom trash can. Loudest sound I've ever heard.
I'll do it.
Oh, that reminds me of one. This girl got arrested because she decided to bring a military-grade smoke bomb into school and light that off.
And they arrested her?
Yep. Oh, yeah, because a lot of kids had trouble breathing.
Oh, shit.
It affected the special ed kids quite a bit.
Oh,
it was a bad situation.
Military grade.
Yeah.
I mean, we certainly
There's
fired...
pepper spray in ours.
Pardon me?
We had pepper spray.
Someone pepper sprayed the hallway?
The lunchroom. And,
Oh.
Or no, it was mace or pepper, one of the two. So it was on the opposite end of the lunchroom from where I was. And all of a sudden, people started coughing. And I thought it was a bit because it kind of went down almost like the wave, like at a football game.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit. And so we're all coughing.
Hey, you turn to your friend and say, it looks like it's cool to cough here.
Yeah.
We better get in line with this.
We thought it was just somebody was being funny, and it kind of caught on, and
Right.
we were into it. So we start coughing, and then all of a sudden, our nose starts running, and we realize, it filled the entire lunchroom. So yeah, that and there was no. I don't think he even got suspended. It was kind of like, hey, don't do that anymore.
We certainly would mess around with those, gumball-sized smoke bombs and fire those up and down the hall and into classrooms when no one was looking. I can't even imagine whatever a military-grade smoke bomb is capable of. So anyway, feel free to text us, 651-989-9393. What did that one kid from your high school do to get arrested? I have one for sure. I know this kid was arrested because I friggin' watched it happen. And it was very entertaining. And it was somewhat shocking. And then, for me personally, it became very frightening. This friggin' kid, a year younger than me, I believe he was a year, maybe even 2 years younger than me, at our school, flipped out one day. I don't know why he flipped out, but I was the type of kid that didn't go to class very often. I just wander the halls, find someone to talk to, go hang out in the lunchroom. So I'm just skipping class, and next thing you know, I hear some shouting and some doors loudly opening and closing. And here comes this long-haired kid, again, 1 or 2 years younger than me, and he's being, looks like, like you see on a cop show. He had a teacher on each arm, you know what I mean? And they're leading him to the front of the building, and he's fighting them all the way. Get your friggin' hands off me! Ah! He's losing it. And I recognized the kid right away. And the teachers were having a hell of a time controlling him. Then comes another teacher. Then here comes, I believe it was the assistant principal. I can picture the guy. He was one of the top cats there. And they just, even though there's 3-4 grown men, they can't control this kid. Somehow he gets free, and he pulls out of his jacket a bicycle chain.
Dude. Why?
Because he's going to wail on someone with it.
He's prepared with that.
He carried a weapon. I don't know if he carried that every day. I don't know if it was just a coincidence, but he had that in his jacket, and now he's swinging it at the grown folks who are trying to throw him out of school. And, I mean, if he would have connected, he could have possibly killed one of these guys.
Oh my
and I'm standing there with my backpack over my shoulder going, my damn.
This escalated.
And he didn't connect with that bicycle chain, but he came close, and they got their arms around him again, and they were leading him out to the front where the police were waiting for him. Now, I mentioned that it was, I'm trying to remember what I said, surprising. It was kind of surprising. We certainly had hellraisers at our school, but that was a little bit of a higher level. I think I mentioned the word shocking, and yeah, I was shocked when he pulled a bicycle chain out of his jacket. I thought, what is this, a 1950s Marlon Brando movie where we're fighting with bicycle? And the part where it became frightening to me was this was a kid that I was, at that moment, in a bit of a hubbub with. He and I one day I was walking down the hallway, and he shouldered me. You know that bit from high school, right? Where someone would just kind of shoulder you.
Yep.
On purpose. And I stopped, and me and this kid got face to face. And I said, you got something wrong with you or something? And he said this, and I said that, and he said this, and we were ready to have a fist fight, me and this kid. And Josh remembers this story. A teacher who heard us jaw-jacking at each other in the hallway, a teacher came out and dumped a great line on us. He said something like, hey, you two, calm down. This is Wyzetta. Shouldn't you guys be talking about country club memberships and deck shoes or something like that? He dumped some funny line on us. Both me and this kid started laughing, and at least for that day, we forgot about it. 3-4 days later, I felt like I needed to get revenge on this kid. So I see him walking down the hallway. He never saw me coming. I mean, I freight trained him into the lockers like it was a 1985 NHL hockey game. I absolutely just collapsed him into the lockers with all my momentum and stood over him as if to say, I'm ready to finish this. Fast forward a couple weeks, he's swinging a bicycle chain at the friggin' principal. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, why was I ever messing with this kid? I considered myself very lucky that he was going off to jail. I thought, boy, did I dodge a bullet. There's no way I was ready to fight a kid who had a bicycle chain in his jacket. Now, to close the story off, I continued to worry about this kid. I thought, if this kid's nuts enough to do that in the hallway, he's got to remember the fact that I almost paralyzed him against the lockers a couple weeks ago. He's got to be seeking revenge against me. Never saw the kid again until a few months later. I'm working at a gas station. He walks in to buy cigarettes, and I thought, I'm a dead man.
This is it.
I thought, I'm dead. But all he says is, what's up, bro? Can I get a couple packs of Marlboros? And I said, yeah, sure. And I sold him his cigarettes. And he said, how are you? Good. How are you? And that was it. I got friggin' lucky. For some reason, he decided to give me a break because that kid would have killed me.
I never got a chance to actually see somebody get put in handcuffs. But I did see somebody get tased by a cop. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's fun.
It was like a full-out fight. It was in the parking lot, and it was I can't even remember exactly why the cop whipped out his taser. I think one of the kids tried to come after him when he was breaking the fight up. But I just remember.
Was there a scream?
Taser.
Was there a scream from the kid when the taser locked into his?
It's more like grunting.
Wow.
Beef Cannon
crazy.
Jesus, he brings up a good point. So I mentioned my classmate who didn't get in any trouble for pepper spray. I got in-school suspension for being 5 minutes late to graduation practice.
Oh, he didn't get any trouble?
No, I mean, he wasn't suspended, I was saying. I mean, I'm sure they obviously were pretty pissed at him. But yeah, I thought he was going to be expelled. We all did. And he never got suspended, nothing.
But you got, one more time?
I got in-school I had to paint a gym because and write an apology letter to the principal.
That doesn't make any sense.
Because I was 5 minutes late to graduation practice.
That's crazy.
Makes very little sense.
Wife plowing Jesus said, Nick, what if he brought the bike chain in for you that day and you just got lucky?
You see, I love that scenario, but when he was being apprehended by 5-6 members of the staff, he saw me standing. I was the only other person standing in the hallway. So I imagine if he meant to kill me that day, he would have mentioned that on the way out, but he didn't. He saw me, saw him, and everything during that wild street fight in the hallway. Now I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight because I'm going to, oh my God, maybe he was there to kill me.
Union Mechanic Jesus said in 8th grade, a kid brought a knife to school, threatened to kill another dude over a girl. He was arrested and expelled.
Yeah, and I think that dude was expelled. That was my senior year, so I don't know. And like I said, he was 1 or 2 years younger than me. Maybe he did come back to school, but I believe he was expelled. And arrested. Of course, that's what we're talking about. What did that one kid from your high school do to get arrested? Here's some answers that popped up in the article. Selling weed.
A lot of text coming in saying that. Like a lot of people saying selling drugs. One person robbed a convenience store of cigarettes. That got him arrested.
I
I
loved
can
watching
only think of drug stories.
Drug stories.
I don't know about you guys, but I loved watching the drug dogs coming to school, especially if I knew I was all Gucci, I was good, I wasn't going to get in trouble for anything. I loved watching them do their thing.
The sheer panic on kids' faces.
Yeah. Yep.
Some kids would get so squirrely.
Texts would be sent immediately.
Yep.
We never had that. Did you have that, Nick?
No, there were no drug dogs at our high school. Drugs were almost encouraged back in those days. So they didn't crack down on drugs like for you younger people.
We had a vending machine with drugs in it.
Lucky.
The cops and the teachers and whatnot during that era, they just weren't that concerned about drugs. You guys had it rough. Suddenly, drugs were bad. Once you guys got into high school, drugs were bad. They didn't care so much about it back when we were there.
My dad went to seminary, right? He moved out when he was 13. He was going to be a priest, and he's got pictures of him and his seminary brothers. They were all outside smoking, when they were teenagers, and it was okay.
That was fine.
Cigarette smoking.
Yeah.
At the high school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was.
Well, seminary. Yeah, different than high school. But, yeah.
Seminary. Yeah. Oh yeah, cigarette smoking. They didn't care about that either.
Didn't they sometimes have smoking areas?
Yeah.
My wife's school did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was called the Pit. And that was one cool spot to hang out. It really was. Here's a kid who, this individual says, true story, I'm not joking. One kid got arrested at my high school because they found out he'd He tried to join ISIS.
Oh, jeez.
All right, that's a good one.
Oh, my gosh.
Where's that process even start?
Yeah.
How do you get the ball rolling on that?
Do they have that on Indeed.com?
Tried to steal a TV from the teacher's lounge.
Medical device Jesus said their valedictorian got arrested years after high school for faking cancer and collecting GoFundMe money over $30,000.
Oh.
Ended up going to prison for 2 years.
Terrible.
My dad. Dude tried to steal a TV from the teacher's lounge and then led the local cops on a high-speed chase. Oh, God.
This texter says they know someone who robbed a convenience store with a samurai sword.
That's kind of cool.
F me. Set the cafeteria on fire.
Can't do that.
He was trying to burn down the school.
That's so terrible. What?
Yeah, you guys, I've told you before that we had a fire at our school. A friend of mine set the school on fire. Well, he meant to set a locker on fire, and he did, and then it spread. I don't know why. He never considered. I don't know. He never watched any after-school specials on fire. He didn't expect. He expected it to stop in the locker somehow, but it did spread. And next thing you know, me and him were in front of the fire chief and the chief of police in our friggin' hometown. That was not fun.
That's terrifying.
Not fun. Never forget that. Selling Xanax out of a locker. Stole a Dunkin' Donuts truck. Now that sounds like fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's worth it right there.
How disappointing would it be if it's empty? It already made its run.
Yeah, if you're under 18 and you know you're not going to get tried as an adult, you might as well go ahead and steal that Dunkin' truck.
See, I wish I got into fights when I was under 18, when you weren't going to do real jail time for getting into a fist fight. I regret that.
You never got in a fist fight until after you were 18 years old?
No, I've actually never gotten into a fist fight, but I wish I would have gotten into some when I was under 18, so it would have been, they kind of are more lenient about that kind of things. There's some people that deserve to get punched.
Yeah, a lot of them. And they're still out there. You can still find them.
Yeah.
Facebook. Josh, what did they say? What did Skid Row say about the age of 18?
18 in life, you got it.
And life, they said.
Yeah. Up at the
well, before you go, did your folks give you a speech when you turned 18 at any level?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not really.
Not
Okay.
really.
I
About how
remember
things matter now.
my twin brother and I, yeah, of course, same birthday. Maybe it was on our birthday when we turned 18. We were leaving our dad's place to go do something probably shady, and I just remember my dad saying, "You guys realize if you F up now, it's for real." And we said,
Yep.
"Yeah." And that was it. That was as far as it went. Go ahead, Josh.
Up at the crack of dawn, Jesus said in high school he watched a buddy get arrested for leading the cops on a high-speed chase on his motorcycle. He learned that day that you may outrun the cops, but not radio. My uncle, he was a police officer his whole career in St. Paul, and he used to say that all the time. Yeah, you might be able to outrun me, but you can't outrun radio. He said it's one of the funniest moments of my senior year. We never. I'm looking. A lot of fights. People are texting in. No, nobody ever got suspended or expelled for fights at our school.
No,
Really?
our school either.
No one got suspended or expelled?
Yeah, now it's different, right? There's zero tolerance. But back then it was kind of like boys will be boys. You go sit in front of the vice principal. They say don't do it. They call your parents, and the parents would take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember everything, of course, but yeah, I think if you got in a fist fight, you certainly went to detention maybe for a week or something, but I don't remember anyone being suspended or certainly not expelled. Yeah, that was the attitude, more or less. Hey, kids are kids. They're going to fight once in a while. There's no need to go crazy, unless, of course, you pull a bicycle chain out of your leather jacket.
That's so scary.
We had two dudes that were expelled in middle school because they fought all the time, and the end fight was so bloody. There was blood everywhere in the hallway.
Wow.
It was wild.
Is that the one where a kid got kicked over the balcony all the way down the stairs?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or is that a TV show?
He
I watched?
survived, too.
They opened each other up good, huh?
Oh, yeah.
They were spraying a little bit.
Yeah, there was one dude that got bashed. His head got bashed into the locker.
Duh.
His forehead hit the lock dial, and it just split him wide open, and he was just draining blood like Ric Flair.
Did the other kid stop it at that point? Like, whoa, I wasn't meaning for it to get this bad? Or?
No, they kept going, and then all of a sudden, 3 teachers had to jump in and jump on top of him.
Oh, my God.
I didn't hear no bell.
We never had anything that dramatic.
We had some crazy fights.
Oh,
See, when I was telling you earlier about me making a run at that bicycle chain kid, and I sent him easily 10 feet. He was in the air. I sent him into the lockers. One of the things that dawned on me was, man, I surprised myself. And one of the things that dawned on me was, Jesus, that was a little much. And I thought, if he would have whacked his head right. So I'll never forget the look of shock on his face. He just looked at me as if to say, are you out of your effing mind? God help us. Oh, it felt good, though.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
A couple of bomb threats are coming in.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, too. We were definitely in the bomb threat phase in high school for a while.
That was not a thing.
No, that wasn't trendy. That was not hip in
I remember
the 80s.
The very first one, it was very terrifying. It came just a couple years after Columbine. Kids are scared, we don't know what to do. And then by about 6-7 months later, like, oh, another bomb threat, huh? All right, well, grab your backpack. Let's get out there.
Yeah, you got used to the idea that this is likely just a moron.
Mm-hmm. They're just like, again? It's kind of chilly out. I didn't bring a coat today. This sucks.
Yeah, we got a day off of school in high school because someone walked into our school and they thought they had a gun and hid. So we got a day off.
Oh, we had a couple of those, yep.
Isn't it? It's just funny how much times have changed. The only time gun was ever said out loud at my high school is when we were talking about Guns N' Roses or L.A. Guns. Although I did see one in school. A kid showed me one in school.
Yeah, we had that. Like a show and tell. Kids would bring guns.
Oh, really?
But I didn't even tell anybody. Really, I didn't.
I never had somebody like, hey, check this out, and they opened their backpack or whatever. But I remember
show and tell.
Show and tell.
So when you're a little kid.
Yeah, well, this was more middle school, 7th and 8th grade. You'd bring something from your house that means something to you. And this kid gave a whole presentation on he loved to hunt with his dad. He brought his rifles in. He had 2 rifles he brought in.
And there was never a second thought.
No, nobody thought anything would happen.
Because shooting 88 people at school was not a thing yet.
It wasn't invented at that point.
When I saw a gun at school, it was concerning because the kid was nuts. He and I were friendly. I'd known him for quite a few years, but he was nuts.
You're safe, at least.
He was all goofed up on steroids. He tripled in size. Again, 80s. 80s, it was all cocaine, steroids, and hard rock. And so this kid, he was quite cut, and he was just very odd and kind of frightening and kind of angry. That was his vibe. And one day, we're sitting in class. He's sitting behind me. He taps me on the shoulder. We're only 3-4 rows away from the teacher, of course. He taps me on the shoulder and says, check this out. And he unzips his backpack, and he had some kind of monstrous handgun in there. And I said, cool. Now, had it been like Josh, I would have said cool, and that would have been the end of it. I never, ever would have feared you were going to hurt anyone with that gun.
We all thought it was awesome.
Because that was not a thing then. But I was a little nervous because this kid was squirrely. And I remember considering maybe telling someone, but then I thought, he's never going to do anything with that, which he didn't. But just the mindset was so totally different back then.
Yeah, that's so hard to even imagine because if I ever saw a gun when I was in school, I would be, as quick as possible telling the teacher, possibly calling 911 myself.
You'd have to.
Wow.
By the time you were in high school, how many friggin' school shootings had happened in America?
Too many.
I mean, it just so different.
Yuck.
This person says they brought in a homemade taser. That's impressive.
Oh, wow. How do you do that? I want to learn.
Yeah, teach me.
And a buddy got arrested for tasing teachers in the hallway.
Just kind of zapping them on the ass, or
I guess.
did teachers fall out onto the floor, or?
I don't know how old Lambo Jesus is, but he said, yeah, totally at Rockford. We used to bring our guns every day to hunt after school. Sometimes even the teachers would go with us.
I've heard of that.
They'd have guns in their lockers.
Yeah.
Now the SWAT team would be descending upon the parking lot. It's a hell of a deal. Again, we're talking about what did that one kid do at your school to get arrested? If you still want to add to the conversation, we're at 651-989-9393. Boy, you're a great crowd, and we're pretty excited to be here today. Like I said earlier, we'll have a couple of cops swinging by later from the Minnesota State Patrol, Gordon Schenk and Mike Lee. They want to tell you how to get a job over there. Lots of other things going on. I'm very, very much anticipating Josh's news report later. We get to learn the new this and that about Gene Hackman's death. Randy Shaver, Brad Ryder also in the mix a little bit later on. For now, we'll take a break. We'll be back with the stupid news here in a few minutes.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
They got their heads up their ass.
On 93X.
Dana here to tell you all about my new friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. You see, I've been doing apartment living ever since my parents kicked me out back in the day, but now I'm back living in a house. I'm absolutely clueless when it comes to any project. That's where Standard comes into play. They cranked on my furnace to get it really cooking for another cold winter. And think about this. Standard's been doing this for over 95 years. That means at one point, they made sure your great-grandpappy was all nice and warm in his butt-flap jammies. So get in touch with the folks at standardheating.com and make sure you ask about becoming a Smart Club member. That's standardheating.com.
Bravo TV star Lala Kent holds nothing back.
When someone tries to get hyphy with me,
You match energy.
I do match, and it's all your fault.
Get to know the TV personality.
It is one specific storyline that lasts 14 weeks plus a couple reunions, and then you move on.
And the mom.
My parenting, and actually Ocean really likes this. Would you like a cookie? And some Taylor Swift. Shake it off.
Give them Lala. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Stupid news on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Here's something we covered earlier, and we're still getting texts on it, and it's fun. 651-989-9393 is how you get a hold of us. What did that one kid do in school, in high school, to get arrested? What did that one kid do at high school to get arrested? Boy, some of our listening audience, Josh, some of their classmates did some dark things.
Oh, I know. My gosh.
Darkness. Some of your classmates did some terrible things. The most common answers, selling dope and calling in a bomb threat. Those have got to be the most common answers so far from the text machine. Selling dope and calling in a bomb threat. Here are some others that I picked up real quick, and then I have a very important question for everybody. Trying to hit the shop teacher with a 2x4.
I would have loved to have been in that class that day.
Shop teacher turned the tables and beat the piss out of that student.
The shop teachers are usually so cool, though.
That's true. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mess with our shop teacher. One of the toughest guys I've ever met.
I've got one word to describe the shop teachers at my school. Iffy.
Oh, really? You know what our shop teacher's name was? Mr. Woods.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
Perfect. He was made for the job.
They were iffy. Beat up a counselor.
My goodness.
They're just trying to help kids.
We never had violence on teachers at my school. I never saw that. Never even heard a rumor of it. Nothing.
Threw a teacher down the stairs.
Dang.
Gal brought a gas can to 8th grade to burn the school down. Got arrested at prom for being drunk
That's common.
and saying something real. Here's the uncommon part,
Okay.
Dana. Drunk at prom and told the principal to S my D.
You get arrested for that? This person says...
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't think about that.
Underage
You got arrested
intoxication.
for that?
You can get arrested for underage intoxication?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought you just got like a fine or something.
No, they can bring you in.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no way. I never saw that.
I've never heard of anyone being brought in for underage drinking.
Oh, I happen to St. Cloud all the time.
Burned
Have
down
they gone into jail?
or like detox?
Oh, the drunk tank, whatever. I don't know. I don't know there's a difference, really.
Burned down the elementary school playground.
I don't do it.
See, that's not funny. Why am I having such a good time with that?
Well, I mean, we were talking about some pretty awful stuff. And
We
then
were.
To that, there's a little...
That is, yeah, that's
little bit different.
much lighter than some of the other stories we've received this morning. All right, here's where I have a question, specifically for the people of Elk River. Are you listening up that way? A listener has texted in, leading me to believe And it's a text message. You know, there are misprints and misspellings and things are taken out of context. It's not a perfect science. But this text message leads me to believe that DJ Jazzy Jeff, how do you say his name?
Jeff?
DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince played a concert at Elk River High School in 1995. Is that a true story? Who? Anyone out there from Elk River who might have been going to school there around 95? Did DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Will Smith, play a concert at Elk River High School because the damn...
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, well, it looks that way. Yeah, there's a picture on Dave Ryan's Twitter or X account.
Dave Ryan's X account?
Yeah, from KDWB. It says, with Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff, Elk River High School in 1993.
That's hilarious. I just found that picture.
It says here, this listener says, we won a school spirit contest in 1995. The prize was a DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince show at Elk River High School. I got drunk off special export in the parking lot and got arrested for underage consumption. There's so much to pick apart here. Since when are kids being arrested for underage drinking?
Yeah, they always just got sent home with their parents.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Okay, so they played a show there. That's hilarious.
Cool.
Parents don't understand. Summertime. These are some of the hits from DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Remember the song Summertime,
Yeah,
Josh?
I'll tell you what. I loved those guys.
Did you really?
Absolutely. I loved Will Smith forever was one of my favorite actors.
I forget. You loved Will Smith as an actor in the 1990s. If you weren't talking about a Will Smith movie, you were talking about a Bruce Willis movie.
Two of my favorites.
But you didn't like their music. Their music was terrible.
Well, parents just don't understand. I like that one. I thought that was pretty catchy. And I remember thinking, you know what, Will and Jazzy Jeff, you're right. They just don't understand.
You could relate to it?
Yeah, I could. That's huge.
Yeah. God. Yeah, that was a hit right when I was getting out of high school, I believe. Parents just don't understand. It's on the tip of my tongue. I remember some of the lyrics. Do you remember they made a Freddy Krueger song?
No.
It's about the worst thing that's ever happened to music.
Was it on a soundtrack for one of the Nightmare movie or?
Likely, but I couldn't tell you those specifics. They made a song where they were talking about how they were scared of Freddy Krueger. This is Will Smith and his friend Jeff. And Freddy is in the song. It's just awful.
It was called A Nightmare on Elm Street, and it came out alongside the fourth in the series of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
It's just awful. What year was that then? 91, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, let me
right.
see here.
Is it like the typical one where it's like 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you?
What do you mean typical what?
The song that, I mean, don't you guys know that
I gotta
one?
look it up. What's it called again?
A Nightmare on My Street.
It's been a long time. I don't know if they include that jingle in there, Ashley, but it's very, very Will Smith. It's like, I was going to sleep one night, and I had a terrible fright.
Music has been taken out of this portion of the Half-Assed Morning Show podcast for licensing reasons.
Here we go.
Yeah, turn the bass up in my headphones.
You know a song is going to suck when the guy says, now I have a story that I'd like to tell.
Every song sounded like that back
It did.
in the day.
Rap has come a long, long way.
That was pretty much all their songs, that same type of thing.
I told you it was dumb.
And even if it's hot out, he wears it anyway.
He's burnt up like a weenie, and his name is Fred. I mean, rap has come a long way.
Yeah, it has.
But in the early days, almost every rap song started with, you announce who you are. Well, my name is Timmy, and I'm here to say. They almost always, you didn't have to, we can learn your name is Timmy by reading the cover of the album. You don't need to announce that you're Timmy.
They still kind of do that, don't they? Like, for a while there, it seemed like you have a pop star, a pop princess, and then there's a rap breakdown where a well-known rapper comes in, and don't they usually kind of say their name when that happens?
Yeah.
I don't hear that. Well, I guess I don't listen to pop music a bunch, but it seemed like that was the recipe for a few years there.
That is hilarious.
Oh, no. Tree-loving Taco Jesus just got diagnosed with cancer after listening to this.
Oh, no.
God.
That's terrible.
We've given someone cancer.
Well, Will Smith did, he said.
Dang.
He'll slap that right out of you.
All right, stupid news. It is time for the... we spend a lot of time in China during our stupid news reports, always with the China. I'm pointing that out for no particular reason, not trying to make a statement. It's just the truth. I'm going to go ahead with this anyway.
Do you have a story out of China that you'd like to tell?
Well, I have a story that I'd like to tell about China. And, it's a place out that away. Me and my friend Jeff. China, always. Some people react with surprise when they find out that meals are served at strip joints. And they usually also react with disgust when they hear that many of us actually enjoy the food.
It's great food.
It is.
At the Boom Boom Room.
It truly is.
So for you folks who can't understand the idea of naked genitals clapping near your dinner plate, what about dead bodies? Could you eat around dead bodies?
Depends how bad the body is.
At the state of decomposition?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
All
what
right.
we're eating.
Well, that makes sense. It depends on the food and the condition of the dead carcass.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
a little different than what we're talking about, but could you ever eat food off a naked body in an event?
Yeah.
I suppose.
I think so, yeah.
I dated a girl that did that. She wasn't fully naked, but it was like basically pasties and just a barely anything on her bottoms there.
Yes, I remember this girl.
Yeah, remember? So she laid on a table.
She was the model that would lay naked on a table, and then bizarre rich people would pick shrimp cocktail
it's usually
off
like
of her
sushi and
ass
stuff
cheeks.
like that, yeah.
What was wrong with her?
She just made money in weird ways.
Yeah.
She first time I ever saw her, she was in body paint, and that's when I fell in love.
Did you ever
You know
get to, have some sushi or anything off her body like that?
I would never eat sushi off of anything.
That's a good point. Bowl of cereal, maybe?
Where do you put the milk? Get back to me on that.
Can you eat around dead bodies? And I'm sure there's at least one text message coming in right now from a dude saying something about eating and his wife and how she's been dead since the day they married or something along those lines. But this is a cute story now. At a funeral home out there in China, as a special treat for families of dead folks, they started serving a tasty noodle dish at their joint during visitations and such. So the condition of the body was pristine, Ashley. It's a funeral home.
Then definitely.
It's not like you're having a couple of leftover slices of pizza on the scene of a car wreck. You know what I mean?
A lot of times afterwards, it's like lasagna, pasta salads, and like those, what are the Hawaiian buns with like butter and meat in between. It seems like that's what they have at the funerals quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's always so good.
I agree.
The food at the funeral home is always so good.
Yeah, at least the
Ooh,
food
God.
I've had, it's been fantastic.
It's been good and bad. I've had a couple where I thought,
And I feel so bad because, it's such a somber vibe. And I'm like, dude, this is delicious.
I love those funeral potatoes, they call them.
I've never heard
so
them
good.
called that.
I don't know funeral potatoes.
Yeah, they got the cereal on top.
Cereal.
Oh, I know what you're
Like-
talking
like
about, like
cornflakes?
cornflakes.
Oh,
Yep.
cornflakes.
A little crunch to it.
And there's usually like a couple of old lady volunteers from the church that are pouring you lemonade and whatnot. It's
Yeah,
kind
I've
of the
had
same
good-
in all of them.
But they don't necessarily serve that next to the carcass.
No, they don't, typically.
At this joint, you can be standing over your dead uncle and windmilling this delicious noodle dish into your yap. So this was a special treat that this funeral home came up with for families and friends of dead folks. The noodle dish turned out to be really, really effing good. Then word spread around the neighborhood that the local funeral home mixes up a bomb-ass bowl of noodles. Folks have been walking into the joint acting like they're mourning a dead body when all they really want is to fire the noodles down their fat yappers.
They're funeral crashing for food.
That's great.
Usually it's like looking for widows or whatever. You hear that, but food.
They call the joint, I think, is this where they're going with this, Josh? When I first read it, I thought it was Erlong Funeral Home, but now I believe it's Erlong, like Everlong. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They call the joint Erlong Funeral Home. The crowds got so ridiculous in there that the folks at Airlong announced they will allow some members of the public to eat at the joint every day, as long as they don't disturb what they call here genuine mourners. I mean, they're not stupid. They're raking in the bucks, by God. So, of course, that was an easy decision, I think, for the folks to make. Yeah, let's allow some members of the public in here. People love our friggin' noodles. It says here, sometimes the crowds get so mental over there that the folks are waiting 2 hours to get their bowl. Someone in charge over there said before they made this change and opened her up to the public, there were people coming in for wakes and visitations pretending to be a friend or family member of the dead body on display just to get the food. They had to squash that deal at first. But then they changed their minds, I think, when they saw some dollar signs. Just for the record, the meal is more or less noodles, pork, and effing peanuts. One smart mouth on Chinese social media said this here. They said, the noodles were very good. I looked around and it occurred to me how short life was, so I got another bowl.
That's deep, man.
I want to try them.
Calories be damned, he said. Wife plowing Jesus said when he dies, he's going to have a cold beer in his casket, so you got to reach in and grab one if you want one.
And he's naked.
On ice. Oh, my gosh.
Cold beer sounds pretty good right now. Speaking of beer, we were all crying in our beers the other day over the long, painful downfall of the once mighty Hooters restaurants. For years now, the joints have been hemorrhaging money, disappearing by the dozens. The latest word is that Hooters has upped and filed for bankruptcy. Thousands of foxy ladies have been left jobless. Welp. I don't know how many of those foxes might take this here offer, but it's out there, by damn. Chicago's world-famous Admiral Theater Strip Club is inviting all Hooters bartenders and waitresses to audition as professional nude entertainers, a.k.a. strippers. Now, I have no idea what a Hooters waitress makes regularly, but the Jiggle Shack there in Chicago says ex-Hooters gals will get a $10,000 sign-on bonus paid in cash and prizes after 6 months of performances. Prizes? What does that mean?
I don't know.
I don't know if I'm missing something obvious, but, quote, prizes doesn't pay the bills.
It's probably something stupid, too, like some cheap headphones.
$10,000 sign-on bonus paid in cash and prizes after 6 months of performances.
Yeah, hopefully it's heavy on the cash, a little less on the private.
I hope so.
Oh, you know it's not going to be.
Yeah, probably not.
Admiral, what did I call it? It's here in front of me.
Admiral Theater Strip Club?
Admiral Theater Strip Club claims their waitresses rake in more than $1,500 a night. Some of the naked dancers likely make much more than that. So this here offer is on the table until May 1st. Hooters gals, it says here now, a total of 40 Hooters restaurants shut the doors for good just last year. So there's that, if and you want it.
Kind of surprising they're closing so many of these.
I think like we were talking about yesterday, there's just so many copycat kind of joints now.
But even so, I mean, they're the OG. There's McDonald's copycats.
Yeah. What happened to brand loyalty, people?
A lot of people were saying that, like, men's, what they find attractive is changing. And if they changed the Hooter girls to gothic type Hooters girls, they would stay open. Because a lot of guys like that vibe more now.
You know, it's funny you say that because a couple of people text in yesterday saying they'd prefer if it was goth girl. Couldn't they have a mix?
That'd be fun. And you can pick what section you sit in.
I'd like the goth section.
Really? If it went goth, that might save the joint, is what some people say.
Yep.
Does anyone here remember the Suicide Girls?
Yes. Did we have them in studio once? I swear we did. They made that calendar, right?
I don't remember a calendar. I just remember they had a television program on HBO or Showtime, after hours type of a thing. and it was just these heavily pierced and tattooed ladies getting naked and sometimes touching themselves. I never was really drawn to that look, but I had a crush on the Suicide Girls. There was a gal that worked here for a stretch of time, Josh, whose ultimate dream was to get naked with the Suicide Girls and be on HBO.
Yeah, she got a tattoo of them even. She was a huge fan.
Dedication.
And I said, go ahead, be a Suicide Girl. I wonder what happened. Because the show didn't last very long on HBO. And it was just naked girls in their 20s. How does that show not work? How does that flop? Here's a troubled Canadian. Dude could probably use a trip to the spin dry. And I don't say that very often, but this guy could probably use a trip to the spin dry. He got awful drunk at a Canadian wedding. Hell, we've all been there. Not that we were necessarily drunk at a Canadian wedding, just drunk at a wedding. But this is one of those drunks that just gets so effed up, and he gets stubborn, and he gets cocky, and he gets angry. And he's lucky he didn't murder innocent people in the process. He's a 29-year-old. He got sideways, off his ass, drunk at this wedding. People took his keys away from him to keep him from driving drunk, which is a smart move. 1:45 in the morning. Well, that's a hell of a wedding reception. 1:45 in the morning. Limp dick dude wasn't happy about having his car keys snatched, so he started a fight. The Canadian cops had to swing by on horseback like they do. Yes, they arrested him for breach of peace, but being nice people like most Canadians are, the cops took Limpy D home instead of to Canadian jail so the dude could sleep in his own bed. Very nice. But Limpy wasn't feeling so sleepy just yet, so after the cops left, he called a Uber and had the driver take him back to the wedding reception to get his car. He jumped into the pig and drove drunk after all. Brilliant. He sped by the police station at 3:50 a.m. going twice the speed limit. They clocked him at 76 miles per hour in a 30. That's more than twice, but close enough. They caught him, gave him a terrible beating, arrested him again, and tossed him in jail for real skis this time. Limp D is obviously now looking at drunk driving charges, and he can kiss his Canadian driver's license bye-bye for the next 3 months. You win some, and then some others, Josh, you absolutely make yourself out to be the dumbest sumbitch in all of Canada.
Yeah, he owned himself.
Drunks are one thing to deal with, but 10 times as bad, the drunk hard-on. Drunk hard-ons are the worst drunks on earth. The nobody can tell me jack squat, tough guy drunk hard-on. Because their little hard-on convinces them, and they're drunk, that they can do anything they want and nobody can tell them any different. That's the worst, in my opinion.
I'd agree.
I'd rather be stuck with the drunk who's covered in their own vomit than the drunken hard-on guy.
Yeah, me too.
But the fun part about the drunk hard-on guy, and they don't want the truth coming out, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. The supposed tough guy, drunken hard-on, he cries himself to sleep 9 times out of 10.
That's true. Well, sometimes he might do it in front of you.
Sometimes they don't want that.
You've watched a lot of those DWI arrest videos. The tough guy ends up crying a lot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, here's a real character for you. I'll tell you what. Different strokes for different folks is the old saying, isn't it, Josh?
Yep.
What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born. He's a man of what, Josh? Means.
Something. Yeah, there you go.
And then along come two, and they got nothing but their genes. They got different strokes. That's the saying. Different strokes for different folks. There are people out there, by God, who have a completely different idea on what life is all about. Different idea than what you have. And I guess deep down, that's a beautiful thing. Like this here feller from a place called Tanzania. Ernesto is his name. Comes from a small village out that way. Ernesto is married to 16 women, has over 100 children, and 144 grandchildren.
But you know what he doesn't have? $1 to his name.
I
That
bet
is
not.
a lot of people.
I bet not.
Wait, can you tell me again how many women he's married to?
16.
That's a lot of kids still. Wow.
100 children, 144 grandchildren. Like I was saying, different strokes for all he's ever wanted out of life was to pump back and forth on, well, pretty much any woman. And then he marries them. And then he makes sure that damn near every orgasm that he has counts.
Yeah, they are constantly pregnant.
Yeah, he doesn't spend money on condoms, that's for sure.
No.
To me, I'd rather die violently.
Yep, 100%.
But the theme of the story, again, different strokes for different. Ernesto has dedicated his life to expanding his family or families
We can tell.
as much as possible. His property is pretty much a damn town. He's built a house for each of his wives. There are people of all ages running around, doing chores, filthy, crying babies as far as the eye can see. And, of course, lurking somewheres is Ernesto, sitting in a corner, probably warming up his rod for a showdown later that night with one of his wives. I mean, it's a town, not a home. He said his dad was the one who told him that life was all about pumping out babies. And he's running with it, obviously. I'm not sure how old Ernesto has gotten to be at this point. He looks maybe 70-something. He looks like, Josh, he hasn't had a good night's sleep in a long damn time.
Yeah, I thought he was a handsome enough guy. But yeah, he did look tired.
At his peak, he had 20 wives. A couple of them chose to leave his ass. A couple of them upped and died. Now he's down to 16.
Much more manageable.
7 of his current wives are sisters.
Wow. Wow.
Do things a little bit differently in their family.
There's no way he knows all of his kids' names
Nope.
or who his kids are.
It's impossible.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'll get there. Okay, so 7 of his 16 wives are sisters. And one of the stories, I edited this part out because there was, I don't know, it goes on and on and on. But maybe I should mention it now. He married one sister. She goes back to her family home at one point or another and says, you know, I married this guy Ernesto. He's a pretty good lay. And one of her sisters said, F it, I'll marry him too. So then she, in the end, 7 sisters from one family married Ernesto. He's banging every damn one of them. He says there's no jealousy between any of his wives, he said. The wives say Ernesto is a good, respectful husband. He says this now. He says, each wife has their own house, her own kitchen. There's no competition. Everyone knows their place. We farm together. We eat together. We work together. This is not just a home. It's a system. And it works. People think I control everything. But the truth is, the women keep this family together. I am only here to guide them.
Yeah, clearly. I bet he doesn't have much to do with the raising of the children.
I'm with you on that one, Ashley.
Let's get back to the children, Cubby. You mentioned something earlier about his kids' names. To nobody's surprise, he struggles with the names of his children and grandchildren. He says he remembers about 50 of their names off the top of his head. That's 50 out of 244. That ain't bad if you ask me.
Should have just, numbered them instead of names.
Yeah, all just junior, with junior at the end.
Remember, 100 kids and 144 grandkids. He says he can come up with about 50 of them off the top of his head.
At least he's honest about it.
He should have an even larger family.
Oh, no.
He should have an even larger family. Here's the dark part of the story. He's had 40 children die from sickness or accidents.
All right, dude. No more kids.
Dude!
No more kids for you.
Sickness and accidents? That sounds terrible.
That is a lot. That is a lot of those kids. Let's see.
40 of them.
At what point do you start to get suspicious if you're the Tanzanian authorities?
Yeah, that's like a sixth of his children.
I didn't think about that.
And you count the grandkids. That's, wow.
Accidents. Well, I had one of them fall off a tractor, and the other
Landed right on the bullet of my gun.
Oh.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. 1 in a million shot, Doc.
This text says, well, I don't look so crazy now, do I? From Father of 7, Jesus.
7. Wow. My heart's with you.
He remembers and mourns the children that he has lost, but he moves forward because he has many more living offspring that need his attention. Get some, Ernesto. You go ahead and get some.
You know, I mentioned there's no way he's going to know the name of all of his kids. One good eye Jesus said, I wouldn't even be able to remember the name of the 16 wives.
Honestly.
Well, oh, God, Ernesto. Think about it, Cubby. You know what he's doing right now, don't you?
Icing his marbles, probably.
Getting it the F on is what he's doing right now.
He's the horniest guy I've ever heard of.
Oh, without a doubt.
mean, Nick Cannon is laughing. It's like, this guy,
Yeah,
this is the guy.
Ernesto. Saw a picture of him. He looks dehydrated.
Sports on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Talk to me a little bit about the resiliency of these guys.
They're a f***ing good team. They're really good. They were hard the entire game. Stayed on us. It was a hard game.
Tell you what, you want to become a somebody nowadays, just curse during a post-game interview.
Yeah, you're going to end up everywhere.
That's a kid from the Hibbing Chisholm boys hockey team. They're headed to the state tournament. They beat stinking Cloquet Esco Carleton, and someone put a mic in his face, and he cursed after the hockey game. He was giving the Cloquet club a compliment. He said they're an effing good team. WDIO. I wish we were WDIO.
Where they can just throw that out there if they want?
No.
Oh, because of the D.O.
Yeah. So we just play D.O. all day, every day. WDIO, that's our thing. There you go, kid. We'll see you at the state tournament with that filthy yap on you. The Pigs got friggin' spanked in stupid Utah. The Wolves got beat. What did I say? What?
That was definitely a beating.
That was a beating.
Oh,
I didn't misspeak.
Nope.
Oh, I thought someone was trying to straighten me out there.
Nope, you were correct.
Yeah, they got smeared by the Utah Hockey Club, beat by a bunch of damn nerds. and the Wolves got beat in Los Angeles, and Edwards got thrown out of the game. He threw the basketball into the stands. We'll tell you all about this in about a half hour. Wolves got beat by the Lakers, and Edwards had another meltdown. He can't keep his temper this year.
Seems kind of fiery, yeah.
I like that about him, though.
Can't keep it together. Well, I like a fiery competitor.
Seems people are kind of pissed at him.
But
really?
You put your team in jeopardy now. Yeah. You're going to be suspended.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, it's not, for a game or two, but still they could use. He's the best player on the team.
Even the coach is like, you got to calm down, man.
Did you see Finchie's face when he got thrown out?
Yeah.
Finch,
to start Shaver, I'll play his talk afterwards.
It made me feel bad.
His physical reaction, Finch he carried himself as if he was thinking, I'm going to quit this friggin' job. Yeah. I'm so tired of trying to keep these guys in. Anyway.
We've talked about this.
Yes, we have covered this, I'm sure, in one-on-one conversations. But A1 from day one, he runs hot. Coming up next, Josh's news report.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
They got their heads up their ass.
On 93X.
Dana here to tell you all about my new friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. You see, I've been doing apartment living ever since my parents kicked me out back in the day, but now I'm back living in a house. I'm absolutely clueless when it comes to any project. That's where Standard comes into play. They cranked on my furnace to get it really cooking for another cold winter. And think about this. Standard's been doing this for over 95 years. That means at one point, they made sure your great-grandpappy was all nice and warm in his butt-flap jammies. So get in touch with the folks at standardheating.com and make sure you ask about becoming a Smart Club member. That's standardheating.com.
Wealth building expert Candy Valentino paves the path to success.
I was a founder before I could legally order a drink. Now my goal is to help you. And I interview guest experts.
David Anderson, I love what you said. I always say that you never learn in an echo chamber.
It's how we connect those dots to help us achieve the things we want to.
Tony Robbins, thank you so much for being here.
Of course, everybody loses money investing. Make sure you win in the long term.
How did you get rich?
I had to sum it up. Just a lot of hard work.
The Candy Valentino Show. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Half-Assed Morning Show. 93X.
You're 18. There's no point to ruin your life this early over a guy. Makes no sense.
A 16-year-old Florida teen mad at her ex-boyfriend. She was pissed that he owed him $700. So she decided to spray yellow paint all over his black Infiniti to get back at him. The only problem, he doesn't own an Infiniti.
Son of a bitch.
Now his neighbor, who just happened to park their Infiniti in front of the targeted ex's house at the wrong time, is dealing with a car covered in bright yellow smiley faces, the words "Jason is a devil," and other spray-painted marks.
It's crazy, too. Like, they chose the perfect color. The perfect color to pop off of black. First of all, I'm not Jason, bro. Like, you know that. I'm Jonathan.
That's Jonathan, not Jason. Oops, wrong car, the sheriff's office quipped on Facebook. Deputies responded to a vandalism call shortly before 2:30 a.m. Wednesday. Cops arrived, saw the car, and then spotted a teen walking away from the scene. The 16-year-old told the deputy she wasn't involved, but the yellow spray paint on her pants was a dead giveaway. Police also saw an 18-year-old in the driver's seat of a Suzuki, along with 2 open bottles of Four Loko. The older girl said she was upset with her ex for owing her money and decided to spray paint what she thought was his vehicle. The 16-year-old said she was friends with the ticked-off older teen and tagged along to tag the vehicle. Their revenge wasn't just petty, it was pricey. They also threw eggs at it, which are crazy expensive these days. A sheriff's deputy summed it up for the teens.
You really need to try harder to try to be sneaky because you are god-awful. And you guys spray painted the wrong damn car.
The Infiniti's owner estimated the damage at $5,000.
Whoa, that blows. She got the guy's name wrong, too?
Well, she got the right name, wrong car. So the guy that owns the car's name's Jonathan.
Oh, the person we heard there was the owner of the car.
That's the owner of the vehicle.
Not the boy. Well, what the living hell is the matter with that gal?
A North Carolina woman's in jail after authorities say she locked her boyfriend inside a storage unit, leaving him trapped, that is, without food or water for days.
Dude, is that right?
Yeah, 4 or 5 days, depending on which story you read.
That'd be horrible to discover if you won that in a storage war.
Oh, there's a guy inside.
I'd love to have a guy that I owned. We could hang out and be best buds. 52-year-old Robin Deaton shut the man inside the unit last week during an argument. He spent nearly a week in total darkness, surrounded by piles of junk with no way out. On the 5th day, weak and dehydrated, he made a desperate discovery: his phone. He finally found it buried among the clutter, and it was his last shot at survival.
His phone was there the entire time?
Yeah, but it was so bad in there, he couldn't find it.
Pitch black?
Yeah, it was pitch black.
No one ever called the guy?
Well, so this is what's weird. There's a few, the whole story's weird, but there's a few extra weird details here, including the fact that they said, they didn't have enough reception to get messages, but somehow he was able to call 911.
I've been locked in the storage unit for about a week now, and I just now found my phone. She double-locked my lock, and I don't know how she put me in here, but she put me in here.
The dispatcher, stunned, asked for clarification. Yes, my girlfriend locked me in here. She double-locked my lock. I don't even know how she got me in here, but she did, he said.
I just need out of here. I just can't breathe. I haven't had nothing to drink or anything.
When officers arrived, they pried the door open, revealing what they later described as a hoarder's paradise. Piles of belongings tumbled out as they rescued the man who'd been lured inside under false pretenses. Investigators believe she tricked him into crawling into the back of the unit to retrieve something, then locked him in and left. But days later, after his dramatic rescue, the man's story shifted. He told reporters she didn't really lock him in there on purpose, but police weren't buying it. We believe she truly intended for him to die in that storage unit. No food, no water, no way out, a police spokesperson said. She knew she locked him in there and never went back to check on him. She now faces serious charges, including first-degree kidnapping and attempted first-degree murder.
This all still sounds shady to me. I'm going to go ahead and predict that we haven't heard the last of this.
I agree. There's some weird details.
4 or 5 days, the man couldn't find his phone, never got a phone call, a text where it would buzz or beep where he could locate his phone. I'm not...
He said he wasn't getting any service in there, but he was able to call 911.
Right.
I don't know if there's a different way. I don't know.
Shady.
It's weird. And then he claimed, no, it was a total accident. And they're saying, well, why didn't she come back for 4 or 5 days? And he couldn't answer that question. A South Carolina man was shot Monday after walking into what authorities are calling a booby-trapped house. Deputies responded to reports of a shooting where they discovered 34-year-old Jordan Dove suffering a gunshot wound. He had gone to check on a vacant home owned by a family member when he triggered a rigged shotgun to set fire the moment someone entered through the back door.
F me.
Investigators say the house had been deliberately booby-trapped. The front door was barricaded shut. The home was empty except for the deadly setup waiting inside. Detectives quickly dismantled the shotgun while securing the scene. The sheriff noted the trap appeared to be set for law enforcement.
So we think he probably just booby-trapped the house. He knew he would be on the run. And then, of course, we'd go there with probably a search warrant. So I feel like the booby trap was targeting us, targeting law enforcement.
Authorities say charges are expected against the homeowner, who is currently actually serving time in an out-of-state prison.
I don't have a lot of fears. I have the normal fear of passing away. You know, I guess we all think about that, especially if you get to be a certain age. I want to make sure that my wife and my family are taken care of. Other than that, I don't have a lot of fear.
As they say, what a difference a day makes. Gene Hackman there. Mysterious new details have surfaced surrounding the deaths of the legendary actor, his wife Betsy, and their dog. Details that authorities are rethinking their initial stance. At first, investigators reported no foul play was suspected. But by yesterday afternoon, that narrative shifted. Authorities now describe the scene as puzzling and have officially labeled the deaths suspicious. According to a newly released search warrant, a Santa Fe detective determined, quote, the deaths to be suspicious enough in nature to require a thorough search and investigation. Betsy was found in the bathroom, lying on her right side near a countertop. A black space heater was positioned close to her head, leading investigators to consider whether it might have toppled over or she collapsed. Nearby, an open orange prescription bottle lay on the counter, pills scattered all around it. Signs of decomposition, including facial bloating and mummification, were reported, suggesting she'd been dead for some time. Gene, meanwhile, was discovered fully clothed in a separate room off the kitchen. His sunglasses were on the floor beside him, which police say hints at the possibility that he, too, may have collapsed. Authorities checked for carbon monoxide poisoning, which was the initial theory, but they found no signs of that. Unfortunately, this quote from the Santa Fe sheriff does little to clarify the situation when he said, the couple could have been victims of a double homicide, suicide, accidental death, or may have simply died from natural causes. Well, okay.
Well, there we go.
That's everything.
Thanks for narrowing that down.
Man, I have no clue
Yeah, it got...
where to even begin with this.
Especially when at first they're saying, hey, no foul play.
But the cops narrowed it down pretty good, as you mentioned.
Yeah, this is what they narrowed it down to.
And how is the dog involved? That just blows
my mind. They found
mind.
the dog in a closet. So originally when they said the dog, that's why everyone's like, oh, it was carbon monoxide. But they found 2 dogs that survived.
Dog in a closet?
Weird.
Yeah.
Schmoopy.
That's where the body of the dog
Well, this is a complete effing mind F now.
Yeah. Authorities in southern Wisconsin are investigating a chaotic incident from Tuesday night when a passenger attacked a Metro bus driver, sending the vehicle crashing into a restaurant. Shortly before 8 p.m., first responders arrived to find a Madison Metro bus partially lodged inside the Asian House restaurant. Witnesses described a tense scene, saying a female passenger became agitated upon realizing the bus wasn't going where she wanted to go.
Police say a passenger attacked the driver. Witnesses say that passenger became angry when she learned the bus was not going to her desired location. So that passenger started pushing and shoving the driver, causing that driver to crash.
The struggle caused the driver to lose control, sending the bus careening into the building. Emergency crews, including the heavy urban rescue team, worked to clear debris and stabilize the structure as officials carefully removed that bus. By the time first responders arrived, the woman responsible for the attack had already fled the scene.
She gone. Yeah, she got the hell out of there. Is it time to start locking bus drivers up in their own little cage up there?
Boy, you wonder, right?
Because I think that's what the trolley drivers, what do they call that gimmick we have in town?
Light rail?
Light rail. The light rail people, I think they have their own little cage and no one can get in there.
Quick-thinking staff at Cottage Grove High School sprang into action Wednesday afternoon, stopping a potentially dangerous situation before it could unfold. As students were boarding a school bus outside Park High School about 3:10 p.m., a staff member noticed something was off. The driver seemed impaired. Acting fast, they seized the bus keys, preventing him from leaving with the students on board. By the time officers arrived, the driver, a 36-year-old man, was already unable to operate that vehicle.
Oh.
After assessing the situation, they determined there was probable cause to arrest him for driving under the influence. In a letter to families, the principal said a staff member noticed signs of impairment while assisting students onto the bus. They removed those students from the vehicle before police arrived and took that driver into custody. Then yesterday in Fridley, school officials announced they're investigating a claim that a bus driver slapped a student silly yesterday morning.
Oh!
Dude.
Slapped the kid right across the face?
Yeah. Well, I don't know where. They slapped him somewhere.
Did they really say slapped him silly?
Well, I threw the silly part. Just being silly myself, I threw the silly.
We hear these stories so often now about the drunk school bus driver. It makes me wonder how often, when I was a kid, was our driver hammered?
I was just thinking that same thing.
I wonder as well. I never suspected anything.
No,
But maybe I wouldn't know what a drunk driver looked like.
I also did not suspect anything. I know a couple of them were very unwashed looking.
Yeah, we had that, certainly.
Very unwashed. But were they drunk? I don't know.
I had very regular chill bus drivers. I was very lucky.
Regular, you described them as regular chill.
Yeah, they were just whatever, doing their job. Sometimes they gave us candy canes around the holidays. That's about it.
Yeah, we had one that was awesome. He was hilarious.
That's suspicious.
We had a very, very funny guy.
What was in the candy canes?
Well, you had a funny guy, Josh?
Oh, yeah. My freshman year of high school, I mean, shoot, I would have went on whatever route he was driving. He was so fun. He was hilarious every single day. He was great.
You stay a couple extra stops just to hear him tell more jokes.
An imposter in Westport, Washington somehow stole a fishing vessel with the crew still on board. A call to police reported a vehicle theft in progress, not a usual car or motorcycle theft, but an $8 million, 80-foot commercial fishing vessel, the Jamie Marie.
Jamie Marie.
Police say the imposter boarded the boat, woke up the crew, and told them they had to get underway. The newer crew, they didn't know the captain yet, so they didn't argue, thinking he was maybe an alternate operator or sent by the real captain. The imposter captain surely acted the part, the crew said, as he set off into the ocean, but soon tipped off the crew by not making any sense and not knowing anything about how to operate a boat. And instead of talking about fishing activity, the crew said he was rambling on about meeting up with the Chinese mothership.
Oh, here we go.
A call to the real captain revealed the truth, and the imposter skipper eventually brought the vessel back to port, where police took him into custody. Police say he had $4,000 in cash and a large quantity of individually weighed and packaged marijuana on him. As the investigation played out, police learned he had boarded another large vessel earlier that morning, managed to start the main engines, and tried to rally the crew for a trip to sea, but they ran him off the boat because they immediately realized this guy was messed up.
We're going to sea, boys.
Not with you.
That first crew, they were on to him.
As soon as I hear word one about the Chinese mothership or whatever, I wrap myself in a life jacket and I'm going overboard.
Yeah, we're turning around. Two moviegoers got an extra taste of action Tuesday night that had nothing to do with the Captain America Brave New World movie that was up on the screen. During a showing of the latest Marvel movie at Liberty Cinema in Washington, the theater ceiling collapsed right on top of them.
Oh, B.
Firefighters responded about 8 p.m., finding two people inside.
The entire ceiling came down, and she was covered in some of the debris and smacked her foot, and she was sitting one row behind it, right where everything collapsed. And had they been sitting in the front row, she probably would have been crushed.
Talk about an interactive movie experience, just not the kind you want, the department wrote on Facebook. No injuries were reported.
I've heard having a ceiling fall on you might be preferable to that new Captain America movie.
Oh, is it bad?
I've heard some of my Marvel fan friends are kind of annoyed. They're kind of like it's not good anymore.
It doesn't look good.
No,
it doesn't. I'm burned out at this point.
Me too.
We had one of those ceiling tiles fall near us when we were at a movie one time. And then the same movie, it was the Simpsons movie. The same movie, the fire alarm went off.
Did you get a free box of Jujubes or something?
Yeah, we got a free movie out of it.
Nice.
Could you use it at a different theater?
No, they wanted you to sit in that seat that the ceiling tile fell on.
New in theaters this week, Last Breath, a survival thriller featuring Woody Harrelson based on the true story of seasoned deep-sea divers who battle the raging elements to rescue a crewmate trapped hundreds of feet below the ocean's surface. Have you guys seen the trailer for that?
No.
Nope.
Last Breath is appropriate. I felt like I couldn't breathe.
Yeah, I get way too claustrophobic to see that movie. Watching the trailer made me uncomfortable.
I usually don't, but for whatever reason, that one worked on me.
So distressful, you're saying?
Yeah. Well, I just felt the claustrophobia.
Huh. All right. I like survival movies.
Me too. Mm-hmm. I like Woody Harrelson. I'll watch that when it's free streaming somewhere. Also on the big screen, Riff Raff, a crime comedy starring Jennifer Coolidge and Ed Harris, focusing on a former criminal whose life is disrupted when an old associate returns for a reckoning. And a dark comedy drama with Morgan Freeman called My Dead Friend Zoe. A U.S. veteran keeps seeing the presence of Zoe, her best friend who died in combat. When her estranged grandfather is diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, she decides to become his caretaker while also trying to heal herself. Terrazzo Jesus texts the Luther Bloomington Kia text line with a shout out to his super sweet girlfriend. She doesn't know she has a Sheezus named Sheezus. Well, she does now. She's turning 36 today. Happy golden birthday, too. I may not be a Greek god, but have a Greek rod, Jesus.
What the living hell is going on around here?
The other dumbass welder, Jesus, checked in with a shout out to his friend, jumps out of airplanes for a living, Jesus, heading in for some leg surgery this morning. And happy 3rd anniversary to Security Jesus and his smoking hot wife, Carrie Ann. That's 93X News.
Randy Shaver.
We also recovered several gerbils inside his pants.
On the Half-Assed Morning Show.
If it's on Anthony Edwards, and it is, I think he may be looking for some fresh soap.
Yes. Remember, they have the dual technicals. He's out of the game.
That's number 2.
Anthony Edwards has been tossed out.
And he's not leaving the court in a timely manner.
He's got to be better. He's had too many outbursts. I think a lot of them are deserved. They're going to miss some calls from time to time, for sure. He's got to be better, and we've been talking to him about it, and so it's on him.
Yeah, there you go, Ant. Going to have to sit a game or two now. Randy Shaver, Brad Ryder, what up, hoes?
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's he so mad about?
Who, Randy?
Well, Randy seems okay today so far.
Oh.
Anthony Edwards.
He's so immature.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's just immature.
I talked about this a couple days ago. This was
Yeah, you
coming.
did.
I didn't realize it was coming so soon.
No, none of us expected it to happen this fast, Brad
He
Ryder.
decided to pick up the two, one right after another. Now he's going to be suspended every time he's got another one now. Or actually, it's every 2 from now on.
Every 2.
Yeah.
And they'll probably tack some further suspension to his tally for throwing the basketball into the stands.
I don't know whether they will do that, or they'll probably just fine him for that.
Oh, okay. You don't think it'll be a further game suspension?
I thought that was a little bit of clickbait because when I think of throw, I think like an aggressive throw, but he kind of just like tossed it.
Well, I mean, he made it. I see what you mean, but after what happened with Patrick Beverley a season ago, the NBA is probably a little sensitive about that kind of a thing. Sure, he didn't launch it into the upper deck or kick it into the. He just kind of threw it 4 rows deep.
We've got 22 games left. Do we really think he's going to go 22 more games without getting 2 or 3 or 4 more technical fouls?
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. Probably not.
No. I mean, unless there's some absolute change of mindset or whatever the term might be. Last night, the Timberwolves get beat by the Los Angeles Lakers. They were just getting pummeled early in the game, had a decent comeback, ended up losing by 7 or 8 points. In the third quarter, Edwards gets his second technical foul. He's thrown out the game. Before he leaves, if you missed this, folks, before he leaves the court, he tossed the basketball into the stands. So for sure, 1 game suspension.
Well, it's not for sure because the NBA may rescind 1. There's that possibility, but I doubt it. But that's what he's hoping for.
I think
that after review, the NBA will say the second one, they may rescind it.
I think the throwing the ball in the stands cemented the second one.
Right.
Probably.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably. But
so if they count all of his technical fouls from last night, then he is 1 away from another suspension.
He'll miss tonight. He'll miss tonight.
No, he got to 16 last night.
Yeah, he'll miss tonight.
No. He got to 16 last night, and then he threw the ball into the stands.
Well, that won't be a technical.
They won't.
What I'm saying is, if he tries to appeal that, they may be like, well, no, because you threw the ball in the stands. So
right. If he tries to appeal the second technical.
Tonight they play at Utah, and most folks believe that Anthony Edwards will sit out that game or be forced to sit out that game.
Right.
I don't know if somehow it'll be moved to the next game. I don't know.
It won't. They'll figure it out today. He'll likely sit tonight.
I mean, I get it. It's been a frustrating season.
Yeah, but you can't let that stuff. You can't, especially.
You're being selfish and you're not thinking about your team. You're supposed to be the face of the franchise and you're supposed to be the face of the team, and you go and do that to the rest of your team. That's not being a selfless player. It's not being a leader.
Same thing. It's the same thing that we talked about with Cat. Cat had not to this necessarily this extent, though. I don't remember Cat being in technical foul.
I think he got close a couple years ago, but he didn't get there.
Yeah, Carl got close. Carl got close.
Yeah, but not the 16.
Well,
I mean,
then what did he get close to? I think he did get close to 60.
Right?
Yeah.
This is Draymond territory.
Is Anthony Edwards wanting to be traded, a listener wants to know?
No, I don't think that at all.
I doubt it.
I just think that he needs to grow up, man.
Yeah.
He just needs to grow up and figure out that you're not going to get every call. It's not going to happen. You're belly aching about it. It's not going to change it. You just have to play.
When I watch him too, it's kind of weird. The times where he goes off like that and gets one or two are really weird times. Like last night too. I mean, it's not like that was going to affect the game. They were getting beat, and they were going to get beat. You know what I mean? It's like, just think about the next game. Think about the next week. You know, don't put your team at risk of not having you in the lineup. I mean, they should beat Utah tonight. I mean, the five of us could beat Utah probably. But
well, I don't know about that. I mean,
I can work the paint.
Been off his game for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cubby, you got 6 fouls out there. Use them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's not being a team player. He is supposed to be the leader. I agree with all of that. It's frustrating to watch Ant this year. He wants the same treatment that Luka Doncic gets. He wants the same treatment that Steph Curry gets. He wants the same treatment that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets from the referees, and he doesn't get that treatment, and it's pissed him off good.
If you stop whining about it, maybe it'll happen.
At Utah tonight, I don't know. I'm still thinking throwing a basketball into the stands might get him an extra kick to the balls here, but we'll see. We'll see. And you know what? That game never appeared on my television last night.
No, it was blacked out.
I didn't know that going into it. Jesus criminy, I had like 8 beers loading up for the 9:30 start.
Wow.
So I could tolerate watching Baby Nuts and LeBron play together, and then nothing happened. I just had to go to bed. It was very depressing. Get a good buzz on. I want to be angry at the television for an hour or so before I go to bed. The damn game never showed up on my television.
That's a wasted buzz.
That's exactly my point.
You didn't put the moves on your wife or anything? Use that beer for good?
I handle that before I get into the beer drink.
The wife was probably more mad than you were. She likes to watch the Wolves more than you do.
Lot of Timberwolves. She does. She loves that stuff. All right. LeBron had 33 points and 17 rebounds, like it's the year 2005 or something.
I mean, he just killed them.
Baby Nuts, 21 points, 13.
I'm telling you.
There's your guy. No, Randy, you don't have to. We agreed yesterday. The Lakers are going to be a massive problem, and they're probably going to sweep the playoffs all the way through. 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0. They win the whole thing.
I don't think that, but they're.
Like we said the other day, the Lakers and the Warriors are going to be problems, I think.
Your guy, Terrence Shannon Jr. had a nice game last night, Randy Shaver.
He did. He played really well. I mean, the kid's just hungry. He just wants to play, and he wants to contribute. And the more he plays, I think the more you look at the situation and say, how do we find him minutes? When everybody gets healthy here, when Gobert comes back and Randall comes back, DiVincenzo was back last night. They still found him minutes. Of course, it didn't hurt that Anthony got ejected in the third quarter. But the fact of the matter is the kid needs to play. So it's a good problem to have. They got to figure it out.
Here's a specific point of view from a listener on Anthony Edwards. Eastbound at Sundown Jesus. Says the intensity level in an NBA game is super high. We mere mortals wouldn't understand.
Gotcha. You know what? It's basketball. You play hard. I get it. You want the calls. I get it. But I agree with Brad. In the end, you've got to be under control for your team. You can't do this kind of thing right now, especially when you get to 16. Now it's dangerous territory.
Yeah, now what's he going to do when he wants to pop off?
Yeah, and here's the thing.
Just shout into his jersey or something?
They're sitting in the 8th spot right now. There's no guarantee that by the time this thing is done, that they're in a good playoff position. They've got to take every game. They have the second easiest schedule from here on out in the NBA. They have to take every game serious, and they can't mess around. They
just saw the Warriors pass them last night, and I think the Warriors aren't going to stop. They're going to keep passing teams, and so they're kind of it looks like they're going to be locked into that play-in game in some form or fashion.
Here's the thing about the Warriors.
Let her buck, Randy.
Here's the thing about the Warriors. If you've watched the NBA this year, they have been playing 12, 13, 14 guys a game. They are on this strategy of not overextending minutes for Curry and Draymond and their star, and they have nurtured some new guys to fill in and be effective. They're going to one of the reasons why, to me personally, they're in the position they're in is because they have taken the time to play all the players that they have this year. And it's been an effective strategy.
You love that club.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Quentin Post?
Sure.
Quentin Post had 18 points and 5. I've never heard of this guy.
He's the most.
I mean, they've got a strategy that's working this year.
All right. And I look forward to hearing more about the Golden State Warriors as soon as possible, Randy Shaver. I do.
The last thing I was going to add on the Edwards thing, as much as people don't want to acknowledge this or hear this because it's going to tick people off, referees they've got one extra eye on how he acts.
Yes.
They do. And they're going to be more sensitive to anything he says or does now.
And they did that with Cat, too.
Yep.
Texter Brad wants to know, okay, let's say Edwards is gone. Would they beat Utah tonight? How do you think they'll do against? You still think they'll beat them?
Oh, yeah. Sure. That was my comment about the 5 of us could go beat Utah.
Yeah, he thinks we could beat Utah. But this is going to be interesting to watch now the rest of the season. How does Ant keep it together? What does he do when he wants so badly to pop off at the referees? You know what it reminds me of? Remember back in school when you'd just be a jackass and the teacher would say, I'll tell you what, you say one more word, you're out of here. I don't know about the rest of you, but, I wanted to say that one more word.
You sure did. Absolutely.
It was hard to hold in that one more word.
I also think
I didn't like authority at the time. I wanted so bad. So he's going to bust a spring out there, Edwards.
I also think it's his language, too. I mean, I think the reason why he got the second tech was profanity towards the referee.
He MFs a lot.
I think that's an issue for him. We see it in his normal conversation. I think that's an issue.
Now, a listener texted in and said, hire KG now. KG will straighten this kid out. I could see KG
because KG's language is always...
No. That's not... No, don't...
Yeah, I bet he'd calm him down.
Yeah.
But we know KG had a foul mouth, too. But can't you picture Garnett just cracking Edwards across the mouth and saying, hey, kid, you got to grow up now. You're the leader of this team.
Absolutely.
I think that's kind of what he needs.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I think you're right.
I think we're overthinking the solution for the Anthony Edwards technical foul thing. Finch just needs to start a new team rule. You get a technical foul, no ice cream after the game. It worked for us like gangbusters in middle school basketball. After you didn't get to go to Dairy Queen that one time, you kept your mouth shut.
Was it only wins?
No steak on the plane.
No, is that what the...
Yeah.
Stephen Curry scored a season-high 56 points last night against the Orlando Magic. I'm sorry, I forgot that I had more information on the Golden State Warriors. Now I'm making myself sick to my stomach. For some reason, February 27th is a thing for him. He has scored at least 45 points on that date 3 times.
They call it Steph Curry Day now. Because of how often he's been successful.
I hate everything about that. In 2013, he scored 54 points on February 27th against the Knickerbockers. What is this now? A number of years later, he scored 46 against Oklahoma City on February 27th. And then last night, he made 12 three-point baskets, by the way, the most of any player in a game this season. dickhead. Retire, please. So tired of it.
Clearly on the decline.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Retire, you bastard. The Pigs got absolutely pumped by a bunch of damn nerds last night in Utah. 6-1. Why does the name Clayton Keller ring a bell? I mean, other than the fact that he played for Utah
Was he a Gopher?
No, I don't think so. I want to say UMD or something like that. Someone look up Clayton Keller. What is his name? He had a career-high 5 points against the Pigs last night, 1 goal, 4 assists. You know who else had a goal and 2 assists? Nick Schmaltz. I get a kick out of.
He played at Shattuck.
Maybe that's it. Maybe we've heard one of our Shattuck friends mention his name before. Logan Cooley, the former Golden Gopher, did have a goal and an assist. 16 total shots on goal last night for the Pigs. That's not a lot of offense generated. They didn't get a lot of offense generated against the Red Wings. Marc-Andre Fleury looked elderly. And I don't know what it is about this Utah club. They've outscored the Pigs 12-2 this season. And up next, the boys play in Denver tonight. Can't lose to Utah. Remember I told you before, my dad, big Twins fan, Vikings, love the Vikings, also follow the Wild every night. But he would sometimes, as he got a little older, he sometimes would make the mistake of assuming that NHL rosters are made up of the citizens from the city that they represent. He would make that mistake very often. And if that was the case, of course, Minnesota losing to Utah would be a grand embarrassment. But I'll never forget the night he called me, and he said, how does a Minnesota team lose? It was a Wild game. How does a Minnesota team, he asked me, lose to Nashville? And I had to say, well, Dad, you have to remember, these aren't the citizens of Nashville.
That's adorable. I used to think that when I was a kid.
He would make that mistake, and I'd say Nashville has just as many greasy cement head Russians and Canadians out there as the Minnesota team does. It's not the citizens of.
I used to think that when I was a kid too, Ash.
Yeah, it made sense.
It would piss him off so badly when the Wild would lose, when they would lose to Anaheim or Nashville or Florida. He couldn't wrap his head around that.
I used to be confused why they even had hockey teams in the first place. I'd be like, well, they don't even have like ice there. It's not even winter.
Right. It's not the Broughton brothers against, a group of stoned California kids. These are real hockey players. Denver tonight, I said, Randy Shaver, against the Avalanche.
Yes.
Utah had a couple of Minnesota connections on the team with Bugstad and then Logan Cooley, too.
Yeah, of course.
Could have went and watched the Wild in Salt Lake City last night and the Wolves tonight. That would have been.
Oh, yeah.
2 nights in Utah?
Yeah.
Two depressing nights.
I brought it up.
Oh,
That's the dream vacation.
You guys have clearly never been to Utah. Utah is awesome.
I've been to Utah a few times with the Wolves. It's not that bad.
I love it there.
I'm not sure I want to live there, but it's not that bad to visit.
It's good to visit. About a week or two, and then you're done.
What do you like? What do you like so much?
They have amazing hiking.
Oh, is that right?
Like
hiking.
Really
now
beautiful.
You're speaking Nick's language.
Yeah.
Really beautiful sightseeing. It's wonderful.
Let's go as a show, all of us together.
Was this a problem with your upbringing or something?
They have a national park.
You're
Nick.
passionate about hiking. How in God's name does that happen?
Hiking and rocks.
Almost killed me. Hiking almost killed me in Maui.
In Maui too.
I came very close to dropping dead.
Would you got like an uphill hike or what?
I was still a fairly young man. I probably was only 33 years old, but my cardio's been garbage since I was about 11. And I was seeing a girl at the time, and she said, we're going to go hiking. And I said, absolutely not. Go on your own. And I hope that someone takes you in the process. She talked me into it. She showed me pictures of where we were going to go, and they were tarred trails. It wasn't mountainous, really. I mean, I suppose, at any rate, it looked fairly tame to me, so I said, okay. They fooled us with those pictures. Sure, there were some tarred trails when you first enter the national park or whatever it was, but then it got to be just uneven ground.
Off-roading?
I made it, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, and I said, I quit. and she did go on her own. But this was the part, I was so out of wind by the time I reached our car. I thought I was going to die, and this was like a scene out of a horror movie, like an Omen. As I ended up going a different way back to the car, I think because I got lost, but this is quite a few years ago. I'm fairly sure I got slightly lost on my way back to the car, because on my way back, I'm on a trail, and blocking the trail was a massive, freshly dead cow.
Whoa. That is weird.
What got it? Do you know?
It just looked like it tipped over dead.
Oh, that's it. Okay. It wasn't like torn apart.
And to me, I thought, that's an omen. I got to get the hell out of here.
I would agree with that. That's a sign.
There weren't any flies on it or anything. Like, I think this thing dropped dead about 10 seconds before I rounded that corner.
Actually, a lot of people agree with you. They love Utah. My wife went to Colorado. Speaking of hiking, she went to Colorado, and was it called Stairway to Heaven or something? Like a staircase.
You got to be nuts.
That's like, it's like, okay, I'm good. Okay, yeah, it says right here, 2,000 feet in less than a mile. It was ridiculous.
They have something like that in Utah at Zion. It's called Angel's Landing, and it's such a sketchy hike when you get near the top that they have like a chain that you have to grab onto, or else you're not gonna make it to the top. I did not go on that one.
No,
you skipped that one.
Yeah, that freaked me out a little too much.
Hot Cocoa Sheezes has seen a bloated dead cow once in South Dakota. She just texted that in. Did you know that about her?
Ew.
She once crossed paths with a bloated dead cow. Brad Ryder from Clara City, Minnesota. What's your career total of bloated dead cows you've crossed paths with? You know about dead animal bloat. You're from Clara City.
Yeah, we didn't have cows, but I saw a lot of different dead animals on the road.
With the bloat?
Sure.
Sure, all right.
Yeah.
If I see a dead cow, I'm going to be disappointed if I don't see the bloat.
Right.
Everybody's seen it.
I don't get that hiking. It almost killed me in Maui. All right, back to hockey real quick. Canadian folks, I didn't know this. Canadian folks are pissed off at Wayne Gretzky for the way he came off at the final game of the 4 Food Group's ice hockey tournament last week.
They should be mad about his plastic surgery.
Were you listening yesterday when we talked about it? Oh,
I wasn't.
Yeah. Okay, wow. I mean, for Canadians to turn on Wayne Gretzky, I mean, that's something. So let me tell you why. If you were watching prior to the game, Austin Matthews and Sidney Crosby met at center ice for the ceremonial puck drop. Both clubs had honorary captains. For the United States, Mike Eruzione showed up. And Gretzky represented Canada. Plenty of Canadians managed to convince themselves that Wayne Gretzky had betrayed, is how you say it, betrayed his homeland because he had the balls to acknowledge the American bench by flashing them a thumbs up while making his way past them.
Okay.
And some Canadians painted that as an act of treason for giving a thumbs up to the American club as he walked past. Others were mad he didn't wear a Team Canada jersey out onto the ice. Mike Eruzione wore a USA jersey. Gretzky did not wear a Team Canada jersey. Some were also mad that he didn't, I guess, according to them, spend any real time with the Canadian team. Didn't give them any special treatment. But what they didn't know is that Wayne was in their locker room before the game and gave them a little speech. But they've jumped to conclusions here, the Canadians have, and they're ready to beat Gretzky's ass next time they see him. Bobby Orr has come forward to defend Wayne Gretzky. Wayne's old lady, Janet, isn't happy, and she has openly discussed the mean comments that Wayne has fielded on social media and the emotional toll they've had on him.
I never would have predicted a Canadian would turn on Gretzky for pretty much anything.
Isn't that something? The world's just been turned on his ear. Canadians going after the great one. The man's in his 60s. He doesn't need to be wearing a hockey jersey around town like he's 11. Right?
Thank you to the brother and sisterhood. The The hike that I was talking about my wife went on, I apologize if I slaughter this, the Manitou Incline. Is that how you pronounce that? Anybody heard of this before?
Sounds like a good way to die.
Yeah, it's crazy. Look up pictures of it. I can't believe she did it.
Well, I don't understand why anyone would do those kinds of things.
Yeah, it looked a little...
Okay, yeah, she needs to chill out.
I agree.
That's excessive. The view better be worth it.
Okay, I got to look this up here.
This guy's like using his hands to climb up. His legs must have gotten so tired.
Going down that would be scarier than going up.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. You need those walking sticks.
Yeah.
All right, well, go back to the cow bloat real quick. Dead cow bloat. Red Butcher Jesus has butchered a lot of cows in his day. And he says it's insane how much they bloat in the travel time to the shop.
You know, that's something I never really thought of.
It says here plan on 2+ hours for this 4.5-mile round-trip hike. Are they saying it if you're an Olympic athlete? Plan on 2+ hours?
And half of it is just going up.
And thank you, Manitou. People are saying that's how it's pronounced. Yeah, I'd never heard of it, but she said it's very well known and a lot of people like to do it. It was packed when she was there.
Golden Gopher gals are in the WCHA playoff now. They play Mankato. Golden Gopher dudes are at Penn State. This year's the final for the regular season. If they have a good weekend, they might be able to clinch the Big Ten regular season title.
It's awesome.
Golden Gopher men's basketball plays at Nebraska. Did you?
On Saturday, right?
Tomorrow. Randy, did you?
I heard it.
Okay.
But, well, then at least we've got a day to cool off before we get back together and talk about
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore.
Well, you're right.
Freddie and the boys will take care of business. The Gophers are cooked. It's done.
Starting next season, the St. Paul Johnson hockey program will fold into Highland Park, giving St. Paul one public school co-op boys team. So last night before, was the final game in the history of St. Paul Johnson boys hockey.
For now, but likely, yes, for good.
What do you mean for now?
Well, I mean, things can always change, right? I mean, I think what you're seeing, Bloomington Kennedy, the same thing. Bloomington Kennedy's ice program is for boys is over as well this year.
So you're saying they could come back sometime?
I guess you never know, right?
I've never heard of that where a school folded their club and then came back. But
I think there are some teams that have like co-opt, and then maybe their enrollment increases and they're able to come back on their own.
Well, that'd be great.
It'd be great, but I think the demographics have changed so much in both those cities that. And I was reading Chip's article this morning about this won't be the last. We're losing about one boys hockey team a year across the state of Minnesota. That the numbers have dropped so much.
So the popularity of the game is dying?
I don't know about the popularity.
I should say that's not the word.
It's more the demographics of the schools have changed.
That's not the word. Are less kids playing hockey?
People are having fewer kids.
People are having fewer kids, so there's fewer kids out there to play hockey. What do you mean the demographics are changing, Randy?
Well, like, for example, you look at schools in St. Paul.
Okay.
There are more kids that are not interested in playing hockey.
Okay.
They play other sports.
Okay.
I think the expense of hockey is also a deterrent for sure.
That costs a few bucks.
Yeah.
Here's just one line from Chip's story this morning. In 2009,
who's Chip?
Chip Scoggins from the Star Trib.
Oh.
2009, the state had 160 varsity boys teams. That number dropped to 143 this year. So Minnesota, on average, is losing about one team per season across the state.
I was talking to somebody the other day that has kids, and their kids wanted to play hockey when they were younger, but they thought about it and they thought, well, I'm not going to be able to pay for the camps that that every kid is doing now, and
they're
the
overrated
summer
anyway.
things. And they're like, so they're not going to have a chance to even get on a decent team when they're older because you don't have the money to do all of the extra things that rich kids are getting to do.
Friggin' rich kids. Rochester's a good example. The listener says they had 3 separate hockey teams. Now they've merged. So St. Paul Johnson went to the state tournament 22 times. They won it 4 times. So it's a historic program. Next year, they say all kids will have an opportunity to play on a single team. Highland Park will be the host school. Minneapolis has that one co-op team. Did they make the state tournament, or they were very?
Did. I thought that isn't that the story about our guy Marcus giving them a pep talk? I thought I saw that in the Star Trib.
I don't know these things.
Marcus Foligno went to before Minneapolis played.
Okay.
Maybe it was a sectional game. Maybe it wasn't state tournament.
As you mentioned, Bloomington Kennedy is done this year. They will flow into the Jefferson program, that's one where it's kind of surprising. I mean, when I was a kid, Kennedy was in the tournament every year. Richfield no longer has a team.
Did you
Armstrong
think that Kennedy
and Cooper are a combined team? What's that now?
Did you ever think that Kennedy and Jefferson would ever have to combine?
Oh, God,
in
no.
order to have a hockey team?
Hell no.
For boys. Yeah.
This is interesting. Half of the 8 teams that made the 1991 state tournament will not field a team next winter. Richfield, Kennedy, Johnson, and Burnsville. Burnsville doesn't have a hockey team anymore?
Maybe they're co-opted.
Yeah, they got absorbed by somebody else, too.
Yeah, someone looked that up. Where does Burnsville, where do their kids play now?
A few people texted in, said it's co-op, but they didn't say where.
That one, I didn't know about that one.
That one's pretty surprising because that's still a big high school.
I know a couple.
Apple Valley Burnsville Hockey. That's what it says here.
Oh, so they've joined Apple Valley.
Yeah.
F me, how times change.
Yep.
I know a couple, 3 guys who played for Burnsville in the state tournament. Just ran into them a couple nights ago. Played some beer league with those guys. Great guys. I bet that hurts their feelings.
That might be more Apple Valley getting absorbed by Burnsville than the other way around, I think.
Okay.
Because Apple Valley in general doesn't have a lot of numbers in some of their sports.
We always beat Apple Valley's ass, but we had trouble with Burnsville. Herbie Brooks went to Johnson, of course.
Yep.
And that Minneapolis team, so if you're bummed out, if you're a St. Paul hockey guy or girl, Johnson was your school or whatever, you're bummed out. I totally get it. But that Minneapolis club has been very good. It says here they went 17-8-3 this season, and maybe they made the state tournament. Did we clear that up? I thought they were on the verge of making the state tournament. So there you go. That's too bad. But it happens. It's not 1991 anymore. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I'll take another line or two from Chip's article today if I can. Hockey remains a predominantly white sport, which is true. Kennedy's demographics. The enrollment was 25% students of color in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
That figure is now 76%.
Oh, wow.
With Hispanic and Latino accounting for the largest population. So that also has a lot to do with what we're seeing in the shift in certain places. Bloomington, St. Paul, places like that.
That's just strange. And it's kind of a weird feeling to see these changes. I always loved it when I was a kid, and we always went to the state high school hockey tournament, which starts next week, and by then we'll certainly get a read on who's there and who isn't. I always dug it when, say, it was like South St. Paul against Hillmurra. Or, of course, you loved it when it was the Iron Range team against this western suburb team. Of course, War Road Edina was always very exciting.
Yeah. Right.
But tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a St. Paul person. South St. Paul and Hillmurra always... the vibe that I heard was that's the rich St. Paul kids against the not-so-rich St. Paul kids. Hillmurra, South St. Paul. When I was drawn to that kind of thing. And the South St. Paul kids always had mustaches and beards and looked like they were... I'm telling you, I know when you're a little kid, everyone looks old. But I'm telling you, the South St. Paul kids in, 1985, They look like they were 40 years old to me. They look like they were fresh out of a bar. Well, speaking of that, I don't know. Kids just looked older back then. Maybe I don't know. Remember the picture? Remember the picture of Prince's basketball team?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Well, think about your parents. I've seen pictures of my parents, and they're in their late 20s, and they look like they're in their 40s.
Yeah.
So weird.
They look terrible. Kids looked older back then. I really do think something has changed. I don't know what it might be. But if you get a chance, I know, Randy, we talked about this a couple years ago. The picture of Prince's high school basketball team. Now, he looks kind of odd. He was always kind of an odd-looking person. His teammates look 44 years old when he was playing high school basketball for, I don't know, was it Minneapolis Central or something like that? Look that up if you can. Do you remember that, Randy?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, my God. Those guys.
It's adorable picture.
Yeah.
Most of them have mustaches and beards.
Yeah.
And it looks like they've perfected their mustache and beard. Usually a 17-year-old kid with a beard or a mustache, you can tell this is the first time they've done that.
Dude, especially Randy, are you looking at the picture? Look at the guy wearing a jersey number 31.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He looks 31.
Oh, my God.
It's insane.
He looks like he's about 31.
There was something about the way we were brought up back then where we looked older when we were 20, 21, 17.
Yeah. Maybe it's just the photography. I'll blame it on the photography.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough.
Rough living.
Yeah.
A soccer game in Germany had to be called off after a referee was bitten on his testicle.
Oh, no.
It's not right.
That's against the rules.
It's a fast-moving game. How did that happen?
I'll tell you, Randy Shaver. Yeah, who stands still long enough to get their
Yeah, exactly. Did they tackle him and then bite him or what?
Oh, by the way, people are telling me that the Minneapolis co-op team got knocked out of the, how do you call it, the sectionals by Tweederville.
Oh, no.
Friggin' Orono. Not even a real town.
Tweederville.
This referee got his testicle bitten reffing a game in Germany. Randy Shaver, it was before he even took the field.
Pre-match testy bite, huh?
He runs over to one of the team's benches to whatever, talk about, hey, I'm going to call a clean game, make sure this happens and that happens. He's doing his referee gimmick. A child of one of the players ran up to him and bit him on his nut.
Well,
just a little curious
that had
kid.
To be accident. Maybe he was hugging him and he bit him or something.
Well, how do you accidentally do that, though? That's funny. How old was this kid?
They just said a child. The guy goes down, of course, because it's soccer.
Well, sure.
A hockey player would have been
nuts.
A hockey player would have stood upright.
I wonder if his parent taught him to do that.
Yeah, that's got to be a learned behavior, right?
The guy goes down and he says, "Look, I'm not reffing this game. I'm going to the hospital."
Did the kid get a red card?
That might be a match ban too, Brad.
Yeah.
They called the game. They canceled the game.
Oh, my God.
Isn't there another referee?
There was no other referees.
But they didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, you're right. The other referees said, "I'm not playing. If the kids are this nasty, I'm not."
Did they arrest the kid for assault?
The kid was put to sleep.
The sport of soccer just cannot get out of their own way sometimes when it comes to the court of public opinion.
They had to call the game. This wasn't like top league stuff. This was some, beer league. It just there's one ref available. Sorry, he's going to the hospital.
Jeez.
I mean, kids are good for hitting you in the nuts, jumping on you, something like that. But
or kicking you in bed or whatever, yeah.
Exactly, but never once have I heard of somebody getting bit there.
Yeah.
by a kid.
What are your dogs? Your dogs are kind of crotch level. They ever take a little bite there?
No.
No,
Thank
that's
goodness.
good.
Well, I don't think I ever got bit on the PP.
Got scratched by a dog.
Oh, I got a
dog that was excited.
I was bruised on there quite heavily once. The hell was her name? Travis Kelce is returning to the Chiefs.
Oh, God,
Source
really?
says, I'm coming back for sure. Going to try and get to the best shape I've been this
All right.
offseason and get back.
Josh, the next time, I know how you operate. You're probably at home. You're thinking, should I gather audio for this? And 9 times out of 10, you say yes because you're so thorough. Next time you're deciding on whether or not Travis Kelce deserves audio, just throw it away.
No, what if it's Pat McAfee? You're not a fan?
Oh, hell no.
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 Yeah. No.
Give yourself a break, Josh.
Pat
Travis
McAfee
Kelce
is-
doesn't deserve audio.
We're just hitting all the fan favorites today. Travis Kelce, Steph Curry, go for basketball.
Let me tell you something. Guys, Travis Kelce said he can't go out like that.
Yeah.
The look of utter disbelief on his mug while the Eagles were completely eviscerating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl was very pleasing to me.
I like that too.
Yeah, that was fun.
He pouted quite a bit.
Oh, he looked like he was going to cry like a child. So come on back. I want to see more of that. You guys can go ahead with this. I want no part of it. A headline I read yesterday. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are reportedly rethinking the future of their relationship.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
Where'd that headline come from?
Uh-oh.
What was your question, Ashley?
Where did the headline come from?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, boy.
Is it like Barstool or something?
What's wrong with
In paradise.
Are they not reliable, Barstool?
Not sure.
Where did it
I'm
come
not the
from,
biggest
Josh?
fan.
Do you know?
Let me see if I can look that up again.
Oh, boy.
The fallout from that would be outstanding.
Bro
Yeah,
Bible.
dude. That
Bro
would be,
Bible.
I'd get the coolest album ever.
Are you upset?
Bro Bible, RadarOnline.com. Are you a fan, Ashley, of that?
I guess I don't really have an opinion. I'm not upset.
You're not
Nick.
upset by that news?
I don't care about her relationship specifically with him. I just care about her.
Okay.
And her being happy.
Okay.
If he's not making her happy anymore, yeah, peace out, dude.
What was there was a figure on how much they believe Taylor Swift has been worth to the NFL, wasn't it? It was crazy.
It's a couple $100 million.
Yeah, it was way up there. Just her going to the games and all the hype around her.
Swifties buying merch.
It's got some young girls in the football. That's really cool.
And finally, this is quite dramatic. A couple of NFL journalist dorks, according to this story, got into a fight at a Starbucks coffee shop in Indianapolis while the two of them were covering this silliness they got going there. What do they call it? The Combine?
Yeah. Schefter?
No, he made fun of it.
No, it wasn't that friggin' sick stalker Adam Schefter who needs
What's the
to get
other
a
guy's
job.
name?
Rappaport.
Yes.
Your
Is
guy.
It was Arlen Rappaport. What's his name again?
Ian Rappaport.
And some other guy ended up walking into the same Starbucks, and they started arguing over some report, right? Because that's what they do for a living.
Sure. Yeah.
And it got nasty.
Gentlemen, how are we?
I'm in a good mood, man.
Why is that?
Well, because I was at Starbucks today.
And?
It's dangerous in there, Ernie.
Yeah.
There's fists flying everywhere.
Hey, you know we're in the present. Hey, Jordan Schultz of Fox verbally accosted Ian Rappaport of NFL Media at an Indianapolis Starbucks on Wednesday afternoon. A report was made to NFL security.
Jordan Schultz and Ian Rappaport. It says here, like Ernie Johnson just said, the confrontation was serious enough that it's being investigated by NFL security, whoever they are.
That's hilarious.
And it says here they were arguing about Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford.
What a bunch of dopes.
And then, like Josh said, Adam Schefter took a ride over to Twitter to poke fun at these two guys. He posted a picture of a Starbucks with the caption, Indianapolis, head on a swivel.
Look out.
That's so good. Oh, man.
Oh, people are telling me that Karen Rodgers coming to play for the Vikings news just broke online.
No way.
If there was another...
I Googled it. There's nothing there.
I'll find it. If there was another journalist that you could choke out, Randy, back when you were working in town, were there those rivalries?
Not really.
No?
No.
Nothing out of Anchorman, nothing like that.
Because we radio people generally hate each other's guts. We do.
That's not true.
That's your problem.
Were there any media relations people specifically for the Twins,
Yes,
Wolves,
Twins,
and,
Wolves, and
Gopher hockey that you really wanted to choke out?
Yes.
I used to see. I used to see. I'm not going to name names. But some of you guys were. You'd grumble about each other a little bit, not a lot.
So us? We've never. Felt
What's that now?
No,
I'm
the
sorry?
TV people I'm talking.
Oh, TV. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So there was
back in the day, maybe, Brad.
Yeah.
Back in when I first started in 1983, I would say that yes, there was probably some bad blood between some of the, and I'm not going to name names, but
no, I'm not either.
It didn't, in my opinion, that lasted about the first 5 years I was here, and after that, it really wasn't anything after that.
So there were
certain people that left the business or got let go from their TV station
They'd
whatever.
grumble about another station feeling like they were getting better access than another station, or this reporter was getting better access than that reporter.
So once or twice, Randy Shaver.
Sometimes those reporters
Jesus
earned
Christ.
that access, though, by just their hustle.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Was there a time or two when you entered the locker room to interview these athletes where a rival or fellow reporter walked up and you said to yourself, oh, Christ, this guy?
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
That's all I'm looking for.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, I can say that too.
One specific guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can understand it.
I wonder if it's the same guy, Randy.
80s
What's
and
that?
90s.
I wonder if we're thinking of the same
Oh, I
person.
bet you we are. Text it to me, Brad. I'll bet we are.
Text it my way, too.
I would say yes.
Okay, good. I love those kind of stories. Text me the name. I won't say it, but I'm curious myself.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it never came to blows like these two butt lords in Indianapolis did.
In a Starbucks, too.
God, what a couple of clowns.
That's pretty so embarrassing,
funny.
yeah.
I love that.
But you know how it is. I mean, it was similar in your day, Randy Shaver, in the 80s and 90s. But nowadays, with the friggin' social media, they want to be the first. I'm the one who broke the story on social media. And it can be, it's so instant now that, sure, I can see how tensions can be a little higher. I get aggravated.
I just texted the name to everybody in the group.
Okay.
Please don't repeat it, but tell me, Brad, if I'm right or wrong.
Let me look here.
Thank you for the text. I see the name. I remember that individual. I do. Yes. Okay.
Dana, this didn't play out very well for you.
I get aggravated, Josh. You tell me if you feel the same way. There are some websites where when they write a story, they make sure they mention that they broke the story multiple times. Get the F over it. Yeah, that's what they
very important to them.
That's what they dwell on.
Without giving it away, this individual was around one of the sports I was around a lot.
Oh, sure
for
he was.
A couple of years.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That was, oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, Brad Ryder. You're saying that the guy that aggravated Randy also aggravated you?
Well, yeah, that's the same guy. I knew it was going to be the same guy. Yeah.
Well, you're that damn good.
Well, no, we just knew. We know the same people. We know who aggravates us.
I hear you. Well, I'm glad you didn't have to choke anyone out too, Brad Ryder.
Oh, he almost did, though.
Oh
yeah.
Have you ever even seen it? Have you ever seen a couple of reporters or something?
Oh, yeah. Go at it a little bit.
Really?
Sure.
You guys are good.
If you ever wanted to calm that individual down, you just would sick Sid Hartman on him, too.
Oh, yeah.
And then Sid would take care of him.
Sid was the buffer.
Yep.
You guys go ahead and have a confrontation-free weekend. Have a great weekend.
Good luck with that.
Thanks very much, Randy Shaver, Brad Ryder.
All right.
See ya.
Oh, God, we got to get ready for the cops to come in studio. Coming up next from the Minnesota State Patrol, Mike Lee and Gordon Shank. Sorry. Did that make it on the microphone?
Yeah.
God dang it.
I think it did.
I don't know why I can't control it sometimes. Mike Lee and Gordon Shank from the Minnesota State Patrol will be coming in. Now, they're going to talk about how they're looking to hire. But if you have any questions for the State Patrol, go ahead and text him in at 651-989-9393. We'll talk to the fellers next.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
They got their heads up their ass.
On 93X.
Dana here to tell you all about my new friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. You see, I've been doing apartment living ever since my parents kicked me out back in the day, but now I'm back living in a house. I'm absolutely clueless when it comes to any project. That's where Standard comes into play. They cranked on my furnace to get it really cooking for another cold winter. And think about this. Standard's been doing this for over 95 years. That means at one point, they made sure your great-grandpappy was all nice and warm in his butt-flap jammies. So get in touch with the folks at standardheating.com and make sure you ask about becoming a Smart Club member. That's standardheating.com.
Former U.S. Navy SEAL Sean Ryan captures real stories about sacrifice and strength.
My biggest fear wasn't death. My biggest fear was nobody will remember me.
That motivates a lot of people.
It just made me feel invincible. Open the steel door and just... They were all convinced, I think, that they were about to die. This rush of stress comes over me because now it's soul time.
All of a sudden, I'm saying, what is really important?
Let us reveal the truth of ourselves.
That's it.
The Sean Ryan Show. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Minnesota State Trooper Gordon Shank.
I called you to report a crime that I don't have nothing to do with. I'm not involved in the crime. I didn't perpetrate the crime.
On the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
We've reached 8:31 in the godforsaken AM here on this glorious Friday morning. Thank you for listening to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, and it's always wonderful to have our cop pals stop by, and they've got some info for you. If maybe you're looking for a gig, 651-989-9393. If you have a question for the boys, from the Minnesota State Patrol, Captain Gordon Shank and Lieutenant Mike Icy Hot Lee.
No, how are you guys?
Boys, how are you?
Good.
You know,
glad to be here.
It's very nice to see you both. We love having you in. And last time we learned about Mike Lee that he loves Icy Hot probably more than you love your family.
Yes, I'm proud of it.
Are you wearing it now? Are you coated in it now?
No, it's funny. I thought about it this morning after my shower. I'm like, oh no, they would just eat me up. But you know what? At the same time, I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm proud of my addiction.
You should be. And you know what? More and more of your partners are checking in. Now, usually, back in the day, like I know Shanky told us, I get so much crap from other officers. But now they want to know more about you. Or they do, like Wingless Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
You're familiar with this person?
Yeah, he's the guy who texted about Icy Hot last time.
Oh, he's the same one?
Yeah.
Okay. He wants to know, he has two things for you. First, if you had to give up Icy Hot or your bidet, which would you give up? Are you a bidet fan as well?
Oh, this is getting pretty personal.
You know, that trooper is in my district. He should just get to work.
Oh, yeah? Well, he also mentioned you were quite the MMA fighter, or is that not the case?
I don't think that's true. Yeah.
You have messed around?
He said you had some glory days as an MMA fighter, and he sent a video even. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Well, you can watch that off air then.
It's a pretty good fight.
You had a one-punch knockout, he said.
That was way back. I mean, I was young. I was like 20.
The guy said something about Icy Hot, and he just
It's not icy or hot, jerkwad, and then you knocked him out.
You don't understand.
Mike Lee's a humble guy. He doesn't want to talk about his MMA prowess. Knock the guy out with one punch. We'll tell the story. You don't have to.
We're impressed.
Yeah, we'll tell the story.
Maybe I paid him off. And that's the other part of the story.
Take a dive.
Yep.
Take a dive, kid. Well, it's wonderful to have you guys back.
Really is.
And we understand you're in the middle of, you guys have a certain term for it. Recruiting, is that the term you guys use for it?
Yeah, it's that time. We're going to open up applications on March 3rd for our LEADO, which is Law Enforcement Training Opportunity. So if you have a degree, a 2 or 4 year degree in anything other than law enforcement, and it's from an accredited university, just come on, apply with us, and then we'll pay for your education, give you an hourly wage, and then you can come to our State Patrol Academy after that and become a trooper.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I went that route. I highly recommend it. And I did have a law enforcement degree, and I still did it. I just had a 4-year degree from a college, and it was a great opportunity to get into State Patrol. So very fortunate. It's a great opportunity for anyone that's interested. And we are hiring a ton of troopers in the near future. We're expecting about 100 troopers to retire in the next 4 years.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
So we're looking to fill those ranks as soon as we can.
Do you get, when you're becoming a trooper, can you kind of pick a general area where you want to work? Like if you live in the cities, can you work somewhere in the cities?
That's a good question.
It varies each hiring process, and Lieutenant Lee can touch on this too, but you know, it kind of varies on what's open. Like for example, my Minneapolis station and the district that I work in there's always openings there. We always have troopers that are interested in going there. There's always vacancies there in that downtown station. It just depends. Sometimes there's openings in Brainerd. Sometimes there's openings in Duluth, St. Cloud. It just varies by retirements and staffing needs.
Tell us more, Ice.
Well, I think that there's always vacancies in the West Metro because of the captainship, but I don't know.
Is that what it is?
A direct correlation.
Transferring out left and right.
Folks keep quitting on me. I don't know why.
Shank did mention off air. He agreed. It's a hollow title. He's a captain, just like Captain Crunch is a captain.
Captain Crunch has more strength and power than I do.
No, luckily, after you apply, you're ranked, and then you can pick your top 3 stations, and then before you go into academy, you're going to know most likely where you're going to go. But
Really?
things can change during academy, so you can get new offers of different stations.
Josh always talks about if he ever became involved in law enforcement that you'd go to the most remote town imaginable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd like that.
So all you do is just like in the old sitcoms, you just have your feet up on your desk, sound asleep, twirling your baton. You know?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to mention, it seems like a lot of cops, they never want to be a desk jockey. They make fun of desk. That's what I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be the desk jockey.
Yeah.
I love that. Or a civilian job.
In those small towns, it's hard. It's a double-edged sword because everybody knows you.
Yeah.
So then if you stop certain people, and rightfully so, they're doing something that need to be pulled over for. They know who you are. They know where you live.
I'd never give one ticket. Never. You guys would kick me out so quickly.
So again, if folks are interested in getting a gig with the State Patrol, is there like a website or something real quick?
Yeah, we're directing everyone to mntrooper.com, and then take a look. There's a couple videos there, but you can click through and sign up for the application.
And remind me to revisit that before we let you guys go. Some questions have come in now, of course, for Mike and Gordon. The first one that I saw, and you're probably tired of this one, but now that the weather's warming up, motorcycles are going to start being a part of traffic again, and they want the both of you to be as clear as possible on lane splitting. Here we go. We've hit the lane splitting time of year.
Yeah, it's definitely a point of contention. There's actually still some legislation going on right now with lane splitting, but it's set to go forward July 1. So people, everyone, not just motorists or not just motorcyclists, but all motorists need to be aware of the law, what's going to be allowed, what to look out for. Because like I said, as it's set right now, it's going to be allowed starting July 1st. So,
okay.
And like I said, everyone needs to be aware of it because there's going to be some people who don't want the motorcycle to pass them, and but that can't be the case. So we're going to put out a bunch of education for it, and just be prepared for whatever happens around that time.
Right
July
on.
1st?
Right on.
Yes.
This person wants to know, and this is a lot hinges on the answer to this question because it's an argument between a husband and a wife.
Oh, God.
Can I have objects on the vehicle's dashboard? My fiance bought a giant rubber duck, and he's saying you can't have that on your dash. It's a distraction. I'd love to prove that I'm right, he said.
Giant rubber duck on the dash.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's going to come down to if it obstructs your view. If it's there, it can be there. But if it's to a point where you can't see like outside of the side of the vehicle or other traffic or people, then yeah, it's going to be an issue.
So who won the argument here?
Who was it that wanted the duck on there? The wife?
The wife wants the duck.
I think she might have won.
I think so.
What if it's a live duck?
Right? They always win.
Live duck?
Yeah, live duck.
Same thing.
My wife drives a Wrangler.
Oh, yeah.
And, they're all ducking each other, and
Yeah.
she's got all these ducks on her dashboard.
Yep.
And if I ever have to drive her car, I have to take them off.
Do you really?
I feel silly having all these ducks up there.
so dorky.
I will say if you have things hanging from like the mirror, that's different. Like that is a suspended object that can obstruct your view. So that's really the thing that we see or get a lot of questions on are those types of things. But on the dash specifically, as Lieutenant Lee said, unless it's blocking your view, I think it's fine.
There's some leeway there.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a small duck, that's
Sure.
doing it right. I mean, it's not. Now, if it's something that blocks your entire vision and you crash, yeah, you're going to have a problem later.
Every situation is going to be different. I think you guys have said roughly the same thing about pets,
Like
People have texted in saying, can I have my pet in my lap while I drive? And I think you guys have said, well, I mean, if you're able to handle yourself fine. But if that pet is it's a judgment call.
It's just like it's not a crime to eat while you're driving, but if you crash because you can't drive while you're distracted, that's different. It's just going to vary.
Distracted driving. That's exactly it. What was the item that you were able to eat behind the wheel, Josh? I thought it was like an Olympian feat what you pulled off.
The Subway. Is that what you're talking about?
I thought
I was one-handed a Subway sandwich.
I thought it was more elaborate than that. Or you witnessed somebody eating.
Oh yeah, I've seen a few things. I saw a person eating soup. It was
I've seen that.
That's a great plan.
But the one you might be thinking of, and this is Cedar Avenue Bridge many years ago, headed south there. I saw a guy. He enters the freeway. He's crossing the bridge. He's got his left leg hanging out, like resting on the open window, right? And then he's playing the acoustic guitar. I swear to God,
that's awesome. That guy's dead by now.
Yeah,
hey, he kind of looked like a surf bum.
What in God's name?
No care.
Interesting question here. I guess interesting because I'm not exactly sure what they mean. Hopefully you guys know what this individual's getting at. We got Lieutenant Gordon Shank and Captain Mike Lee in studio from... What did I say? I'm sorry, Captain Gordon Shank.
I
and
appreciate
Lieutenant,
that.
Yeah. I gave someone a promotion and someone a demotion. We got the cops in studio, for Christ's sake. They say here with the new laws in Minnesota, and I don't know what they're referencing, hopefully you do you find more alcohol DUIs compared to marijuana DUIs? So I guess maybe compare the overall numbers there. Has been an uptake in the marijuana, this and that?
Yeah, and then we categorize the DWI arrests as alcohol and or drugs, so not just marijuana.
Okay.
But yeah, there's definitely been a rise in DWI drugs, but alcohol is still prevalent. We're kind of plateauing, which isn't the trend that we want. We want it to go downward, obviously. There's plenty of options, rideshare, Uber, sober rides, all that stuff. So we want that number to really go down, and we haven't really seen that trend quite yet.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And we see, and holidays, it's always busy with impaired driving, and then we'll see another uptick after Memorial Day. Just with that coming up, I mean, it's going to be here before you know it. Let's just plan ahead.
Friggin' St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how many people just can't pull their head out of their ass.
And expect, to your point, expect extra patrols for St. Patty's Day. There'll be extra troopers, cops, deputies all across the state. So plan ahead.
That's the next one. That's the next where you'll have the extra patrols.
Yeah,
out?
we usually have them every weekend.
Yep.
But there'll be more on
dedicated
St. Patty's
enforcement,
Day.
and which is a Monday this year.
So. Yeah, that's my favorite day to get hammered, Mike. Is Monday. Yeah.
It used to be my
really
favorite.
Starts the week off for you.
I like to come in Tuesday just a pile of garbage. Yeah, that's how I like to do it.
So, as far as like the marijuana impairment, how are you guys testing for that? Because do they have a test?
Good question.
I know they were at one time saying we're working on a test, like you would a PBT, something like that.
Yeah. So for the first part of it, we'll observe the driving behavior, we'll stop them and do our standardized field sobriety testing, and then we'll administer a PBT just to see if alcohol is the reason for the impairment. Otherwise, after that, we'll use a drug recognition evaluator to confirm that's marijuana. But before we get there, there was some testing. It's a pilot project for an oral fluid test. So it'd be similar to the PBT. But that pilot project has concluded, and we're still waiting on the results of everything like that.
Okay.
So as of now, it's the same standard practice as it is for any other impairment that we believe is controlled substance. We have a recognition expert come in and basically see, like, yep, I believe they're impaired on these drugs specifically. They're showing indicators of that. That's the same thing we'd still do right now.
Same thing?
Yep.
You should just bring some like Cheetos with you. And if they seem like they really want them, you're like, all right, got you.
Oh, it's funny when you guys make those videos, you put Cheetos with a trap underneath.
Yeah. Cheetos and a Mountain Dew.
What about, we've been hearing a lot about red light cameras, speed cameras, even cameras with AI.
Oh, yeah.
Are you guys being trained on stuff like that, or are you affected by that in any way?
Man, AI is everywhere. But no, I know there was talk about at one point about introducing cameras to enforce speed and red light runners, but it's hard. I don't think it fully passed. I forgot what stage it was at, but just confirming that it was the driver who committed that offense versus just the registered owner.
That's the tough part, right? Figuring out who's behind the wheel. Okay.
Tell you what, Josh, a listener by the name of Brando Jesus says his boss was able to eat an entire Chipotle burrito while driving a garbage truck down the freeway.
That's impressive.
Oh, man.
Brando Jesus said I couldn't say anything because he was my boss. We got to take a break, but we've got Lieutenant Gordon Shank and Captain. Did I do it wrong again?
You did it wrong again.
It's Trooper.
Minnesota State Patrol's in studio. If you have a
Here's
question.
the thing. You've both been fired.
Yes, fantastic.
Since you've been here.
Can we work here?
To get fired again? Sure.
Minnesota State Trooper Gordon Shank.
I called you to report a crime that I don't have nothing to do with. I'm not involved in the crime. I didn't perpetrate the crime.
On the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
I promise you I'm going to get it right this time because I wrote it down. In studio, Captain Gordon Shank, Lieutenant Mike Icy Hot Lee from the Minnesota State Patrol. Dash cam mounted below my rear view mirror. Is that okay? Dash cam mounted below my rear view mirror.
Yeah, I mean, if it's attached, and again, a lot of it comes down to does it obstruct your view?
Right.
But it can't just be smack dab right in the middle of your windshield.
You guys use them in your personal life, Josh? You use a dash cam, don't you?
No, I had a vehicle that had it. It came with it.
Oh.
Somebody had put it in, and it was all hardwired, right? So they just left it when I got the vehicle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, must be nice.
I never caught anything. The closer I had a deer. I had a deer try and commit suicide in front of me. I mean, I missed this thing by maybe 2 inches. That's the only real footage I have.
Better luck next time.
Yeah. Darn, you didn't get into any crazy crashes.
You know, those dash cams, they do sometimes prove to be useful for us, like when we have someone that's involved in a crash and things of that nature.
Or like insurance fraud,
absolutely.
Right? I mean, you see that on YouTube a lot. I don't know how often it actually happens, but if you base it on your YouTube university, it seems like it happens quite a bit.
One thing I will say is if I get people submit dangerous driving complaints and they come into our district and they submit like the dash cam and stuff, well, it's hard to prove who that driver was. So I always recommend, if you can safely do it, call 911 to report the driving complaint so we can try to get stopped in real time and identify the driver. It's a lot harder after, and people get frustrated. Well, it's hard for us to prove that person was the driver. Even though you have dash cam, it may not be able to identify that person. So just something to keep in mind for the listening group.
So sure. You mentioned you're having a hiring event. Do you hire felons? Somebody wants to know. Can you have a felony and be a trooper?
That would be a disqualifying factor.
Oh, it is 100%.
That makes sense.
If you go to mntrooper.com, it's got a list of the disqualifiers. Yeah. That would be one.
We were talking about, there are certain people out there, very talented. Josh saw a guy playing an acoustic guitar while driving.
Hot Coco Jesus said she and her mother saw the same guy.
Oh, my gosh.
So, he's famous.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's going on tour.
Josh saw a guy eating soup behind the wheel. Here's a listener who says, I learned to drive with an F-150 that was a stick while flipping through a CD book and eating Taco Bell. Some of you can handle it.
Yeah.
Others cannot.
I think you really learn how to multitask if you drive a manual, because that helped me a lot when I was an irresponsible driver.
You were? Oh, did it? When you were an irresponsible driver? What do you mean?
Because it made me more aware, I guess, of what I was doing on the road. Because you always have to pay attention. And I got pretty good at doing other things while driving a manual. So when I switched to an automatic, I was like, this is easy.
Oh, yeah.
How does anybody get in an accident?
Now you could deal poker probably after what you've been through with the
I'm glad you brought it up because I like to run my Subway sandwich through the garden, right? So that thing's got a lot on it, and I have a manual. I had a manual transmission when I did that one-handed, and I didn't end up a mess. Here's a question from Fire Marshal Jesus. What's it like being second best in DPS behind the Fire Marshal Division?
Oh boy.
You have anything to say about firemen?
It's just not. There's not enough time.
You just don't have the energy for it.
We had the Bloomington cops in last week. You got any issues with those folks?
That's a great department.
Yeah.
You like those guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good guys.
I forget. Did they say something about firemen? I think they made a joke about firemen.
I mean, there's so many. And you feel bad picking on them.
Also, didn't we just have the Guns and Hoses hockey tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think law enforcement, cops won.
Yeah.
Recently, you had a hockey game, the Guns and Hoses Showdown.
Yeah.
And the cops won.
Yeah.
I don't know what year it was. It's probably like the third or fourth year, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. But we won. I mean, it's not surprising. We're more superior.
Yes.
Do either of you fellas skate?
No.
I know you.
But I will trash talk.
Wait, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
You're a cheerleader on the bench.
Yeah.
So, Tire Guy Jesus is amongst several people who have texted this question. I know you've answered it before, but a lot of people want to know. Self-driving vehicles. If you have a self-driving vehicle, can you be texting?
Jesus.
So in Minnesota, we are not allowing fully automated self-driving vehicle. I forget what the class is, like class 5 or something like that. So we.
Oh, you can't put it on that.
Correct.
Mode? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do both of you hope you're retired by the time there are 100% all-out self-driving vehicles here in town? I'm terrified of the thought myself.
Hey, when I was in Arizona for a family vacation, I went on this thing called a Waymo, and it was self-driving. Yep. My kids had to do it. We did it, and
they hate those there, right?
It was uncomfortable.
So tell me, what do you mean? Like
you said San Francisco?
Arizona.
Oh, Arizona. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay.
Was it like a bus or something? And you're all.
It's just a. I believe they're.
Car. It's a car.
I think they're. Yeah, I think they're Jaguars. I think.
Where did it take you?
Wherever we wanted to go. It was like an Uber without a driver.
And you sat there. You didn't. No one screamed out loud. I would scream out loud at one point.
Well, once it's in, it locks you in. And
Jesus!
Oh my God! And it drives. And what's weird is that whatever the speed limit is, it immediately gets up to that speed. Like it doesn't gradually get up. So when we got in a 40 zone, it just accelerated right to 40.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And I'm like, oh, okay, we're right up here. And then we almost hit a pedestrian.
Oh, that doesn't sound
fun.
But
I will say it responded immediately. It stopped for that person.
It did.
That ran unexpectedly out into the road. So
is there a way you can get control of it if this thing's going nuts?
I don't know.
Did it have a steering wheel?
You just packed your family in there and said, let's roll the dice on this one.
I did a trial one first with my buddy just to be sure that my kids, because my son's like, I want to do it. And I said, God, I don't really, I'm kind of uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
So then we did it on the way to an establishment and then checked it out. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you were saying, I'm sorry, Josh was asking about texting with a self-driving vehicle. You said we don't allow the full-on thing just yet.
Yeah, we're not to that point yet. So,
okay.
So Minnesota standards, you can't text and drive. Essentially.
Right.
Yeah, and you're physical control of the vehicle even. So
every time I see a video or we read another story about the full-on, all-out self-driving vehicle, it just scares the balls off of me. And we read stories about guys who are sound asleep in the back seat, and it's just I can't imagine trusting that ever.
Yeah.
I was in a vehicle once that was the self-driving. A friend of mine had a Tesla, and he showed me. I was terrified. I mean, he said he uses it all the time. I mean, like you said, it performed. It did what it was supposed to do.
It's uncomfortable.
But it was weird seeing it stop at a red light and things like that it can just pick that up.
See, no, that's sketchy because then there's one time where it doesn't perform and you don't get that one time back.
That's the one, right? That's the one to worry about.
I just worry about like malfunctioning and then you're stuck in there and it's just driving around aimlessly and then I'm just
You starve to death. You're just doing laps around town until
there was a video of that. Some guy was stuck in his car, and he's like, "I'm late to the airport."
Yes,
and it was just circling a parking lot.
Couldn't get out.
No,
dumbass.
Well, before we go,
it's not his fault.
Before we go, Captain Gordon Schenk, Lieutenant and party host Mike Lee. Another listener asked about your hiring, your recruiting. Do you need to have your degree already to apply, or can you be in school close to graduating and still apply? So one more time, dump everything we need to know about the hiring process over there.
Yeah, so you have to have a 2 or 4 year degree by the time you apply, and then make sure it's through an accredited university. If you just go on our website, the easiest way is mntrooper.com and click through. It'll kick you to our State Patrol website. It'll answer any questions that you have, but through that, you will be paid an hourly wage. Your education will be paid for to get a law enforcement degree, and then from there, you'll go into our State Patrol Academy and then join up with the other, what we call traditional applicants who already have a degree in law enforcement, who are ready to apply for us to come into our academy.
It's got to be exciting for you guys, because soon enough, you'll have some new people to pick on.
Yeah. That's right.
Hazing.
I don't know what that means. I've never
hazing.
They all just pick on me.
Yeah, it's true.
We've kind of noticed that.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of that nice guy. You're almost too nice, Gordon.
That's fair.
So they kind of tee off.
Can you repeat that one more time? I want to call my wife.
You are a nice guy.
You're an easy target.
You are too nice.
Yeah, thanks.
She should take it easy on you, too.
I'm just kidding. She's great.
And you know what? Before we head out, I'll answer the question because so many people are blowing me up.
Oh, God.
I would rather keep icy hot than my bidet.
All right.
Wow. That's huge. I know somebody that loves their bidet, and that love is unbreakable.
Yeah, I do too. But you know what? Imagine, you could live fine without a bidet. Imagine living without icy hot.
I do.
Here we
So
go.
I can imagine.
Next time, wear some of it in.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed.
Don't
to be honest.
tell me. I will not be here if that.
Wear it in. Everyone remembers their first true love. For Mike Lee, it's icy hot.
Yeah, if you don't wear it in, we're going to rub it on you when you get here.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Don't
awkward.
tempt me with a good time.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
to see you,
Thank
boys.
you.
Thank
Take
you
care.
very much. Congratulations on the new job and Jesus' name for garbage truck builder Jesus. Ace Front Load Jesus wishes his son Jake a happy 17th birthday and happy 13th to Cam Man 914 from Mom and Dad. Have an awesome weekend.
93X.
Hey, podcast listeners. Dana here. Can I let you guys in on a little secret? Just between us? We like all of you much, much more than the folks that listen live. But no matter how, when, or where you check out the Hams podcast, we got to give thanks to our friends at Standard Heating for making it all possible. It's been a pretty tame winter so far, but we know well enough that we're not out of the woods yet. So hit up standardheating.com to get them out to your house to make sure your furnace is tuned up to do all of the furnace-y types of things it's supposed to do. I'm still learning the lingo. Make that appointment today. Become a Smart Club member like me. That's standardheating.com.